husband cheated for 3 years and fell in love with an escort. I honestly don't even know how to process my marriage anymore, and I need outside perspective because my reality feels shattered. My husband and I have been together for over 9 years, married almost 7. We built a home together, had a baby, renovated our house, planned a future. I moved countries for this man. I left behind my family, friends, familiarity, my support system, everything. I worked jobs I absolutely hated at times because we were prioritizing his schooling, career moves, and opportunities that would bring more income and stability for our future together. I truly believed that we were building life as a team. About a month ago, my entire world collapsed. I found out he had been cheating on me for over 3 years with escorts and prostitutes. Not one mistake, not one drunken night, an entire hidden life. And somehow, it gets worse. About 2.5 years ago, he brought up an STD home to me. I was completely blind to what was actually happening. When I confronted him, he turned it around on me and suggested that maybe I had cheated. Then he reassured me that it couldn't be him, and I believed him. I genuinely thought maybe one of us somehow got it years ago and just never got tested for it. Thankfully, it was something treatable with antibiotics, but mentally it destroyed me after learning the truth. The hardest part is that he says he didn't want feelings attached, and he didn't want to lose me. Meanwhile, I was home raising our 9-month-old, working full-time, trying to survive postpartum, trying to hold our household together, and trying to make our relationship work. Believing intimacy struggles were something we could heal together as a couple. Then, a month ago, he admitted that during a training trip for his license in California, he hired an escort to stay with him at his hotel for multiple days. According to him, she stayed longer because she liked him, and over those few days, he developed feelings for her. They started talking about an actual future together. Her moving into my house, him proposing a polyamorous relationship, and building some fantasy life together while I was at home with our child. What completely shattered me is that they were even discussing creating a fake origin story for her so people in our lives wouldn't know that she was an escort. If she moved here, everything would change. It made me realize how deep the deception actually went. And like a lot of people with betrayal trauma, my brain started spiraling, trying to understand what was real and what was a lie. We shared passwords for years, and he was extremely good at hiding everything. Deleted emails, hidden conversations, lies layered on top of lies. My husband cheated for 3 years and fell in love with an escort. But eventually I found email chains with other escorts and realized that he had even tried inviting one to our apartment while I was away, during the same time that I was pregnant and going through a difficult pregnancy. That part especially broke something in me. The idea that strangers were brought into my home and a space that I considered safe while I was carrying our baby feels deeply violating. I also found messages, photos, plans, promises between him and the escort from California. And what hurts even more is that after everything came out, he promised that he would cut contact with her, go to couples therapy, and focus on healing our relationship, at least enough to become healthy co-parents. But he continued lying and continued contacting behind my back again. The craziest part to me is that no emotionally healthy person throws away a marriage, a family, a child, a home, and years of shared history over a 1-month fantasy relationship with an escort. I knew for years that my husband had emotional issues and unresolved problems, but he refused therapy over and over again. What the heck existed in a completely controlled environment? Hotels, trips, excitement, no responsibilities, no baby waking them up at night, no bills, no real life accountability. Of course it felt exciting and easy. It was basically an escape from reality. But I also think people in situations like this wear rose-colored glasses. They confuse fantasy, validation, and escapism with real love. Real relationships are built in ordinary life through responsibility, loyalty, stress, sacrifice, and consistency, not during a few days in a hotel while paying someone to be there. Looking back now, I realize how much instability he brought into my life long before I knew about the cheating. Constant impulsive decisions, need for validation, lying and exaggerating reality to impress people, wanting admiration from everyone around him. I kept hoping maturity would come with time. Financially, emotionally, mentally, I feel like I sacrificed everything for our future while he was living a double life. Over the past couple months alone, he spent thousands of dollars on this woman while our family life was falling apart. What destroys me the most is the level of deception. This was not just cheating. This was manipulation of my reality for years, taking away my ability to make informed decisions about my own life, health, marriage, finances, and future. At this point, staying is no longer an option. I don't recognize this person anymore, and I don't think trust can survive this level of betrayal. The part I'm struggling with now is accepting that the future I built my entire life around is gone, and figuring out how to rebuild myself after all of this. Has anyone gone through rebuilding their life after something like this? How do you even begin?
My husband said the craziest things about our daughter, and now my mother-in-law has kicked him off the will. Story time. So 16 years ago, I had a daughter with my boyfriend, Steve. Now, I have a really, really bad relationship with my parents, so when me and Steve had our baby, his parents took us in and really treated me like their own, which I'm so grateful for. Now, come to find out that 7 years ago, Steve was actually cheating on me and we got divorced. His parents were so divorced in him, they basically disowned him, and because I had such a bad relationship with my family, they took me and my daughter into their house. Now, I cannot thank them enough. Daddy, Steve and Bertha were amazing because not that long after, Steve actually got remarried and had another son and basically disowned my daughter. Now, unfortunately, 2 years ago, Daddy Steve ended up getting diagnosed with lung cancer. Now, my daughter, who we'll call Stacey, was so close with Daddy Steve, and Steve's actual son was never really that close. He only really visited when he wanted something. So anyway, apparently last night Steve stopped by their house to talk about the inheritance. Told you he only shows up when he wants something. He never once mentioned me or my daughter and hinted at the fact that his son should get more of the inheritance than his daughter. Now, apparently Daddy Steve cut in this conversation, was like, hold on. The majority of what is going to the grandchildren is going to Stacey and one of the other grandchildren because they're the ones that we actually see. Steve then got angry and called our daughter a bastard child. Apparently upon this comment, Daddy Steve left the room and on his exit said that Steve would be cut out of the will. Steve then turns back round to his mum and says, baby Stacey's not worth it because she's just going to grow up to be a whore like her mum. Where did you find this man in the gutter with the rats? What? And then Bertha kills it with a line, turns to Steve and says, well, do you know what, Steve? I'd rather have Tatty as my daughter than you as my son. What do you guys think? Because this is wild.
My day off for no showing a wedding. Okay, a little bit of context. I was a full-day guest. And the wedding was someone in my family's sister. Technically, they have no relation to me, but it is a bit of a sticky one. I was invited to this wedding and I was actually excited for it. I'm kind of at the age where not a lot of people in my group are getting married, so any sort of wedding is super fun and exciting. However, I'm not going to disclose how I found this out. It came to my attention about 4 months before this wedding that this bride, so the family sister, has blocked me on everything. TikTok and a lot of other platforms. When I tell you, I have never a one-on-one conversation with this girl. The fact she blocked me was just very weird because how can you block someone or have an issue with someone that doesn't know you? We're also different year groups, like we're very, very apart in age, and I'm not close to this family member either, if that makes sense. Like, my first reaction was actually to message this family member and be like, hey, do you know X has blocked me? But this family member was like, oh, I have no idea. And I was a bit like, yes, you do. Whatever. Now, I found this really insane. I found it bizarre. I found it rude. I found it disrespectful. Just thought, why am I invited to your wedding? Now, because we're like, not family, but family, so we're at a lot of functions together, we had 3 family events in between her blocking me and the wedding. When I tell you the looks this family member and the bride were giving each other and then looking at me, like really a lot of bitchiness going on. Like, tap me out. I just thought, you don't get to block me and it will be okay. Okay, too many people in this bride's life, just let her be the way she is. I'm not like that. I don't play with that. I weren't raised like that. So I decided to no-show her wedding because I know for a fact she has bitched to the family member about this and she has bitched to all her bridesmaids about this. And I'm not about to feel uncomfortable for someone that I don't care about. Obviously, there's a lot of family politics involved. It wasn't a very intimate wedding. It was in Texas. There was honestly about 150 people going. She weren't gonna miss 2 people. I just think, why was I blocked?
I slept with him on the first date and I regret it deeply. I went on a walk and coffee with a guy who was from my university. We matched on an app. At first I thought he's not my type. However, he was being so sweet the whole time. We just clicked. We sat somewhere random in a field and chatted. I felt like being myself after a very long time. I knew he wanted to kiss me, but I just didn't want to that fast. How ironic. And then he invited me to eat Asian food. We headed there after. It was like time had stopped by then. I was just feeling secure. He even paid his last penny to buy me the meal. He did not even accept the cash that I gave him. And then he walked me home. 5 kilometers. Because there was no bus and it was getting dark out. I invited him to my student place for tea. I didn't want to leave him outside while he walked all the way back. It was raining and the next bus was going to be late anyways. I did it many times before, but I never slept with any of the guys. And then we just started to chat about books, and this time I let him into my room. I regret it. We ended up cuddling. I never felt that secure and safe for a long time, and that scared the shit out of me. We kissed after. I tried to resist what was going on a few times, but being in his arms made me feel peaceful. I don't know how, I don't know why. We stayed in bed in each other's arms for 2 hours. I told him he can sleep at my place if he wants, because there was no bus back and he had to walk 4 to 5 kilometers otherwise. And yeah, we just ended up having sex. I hate myself for it. In the morning, he asked me if I could inform him about my period. I said yes. He also asked me to hang out tomorrow and then kissed me when he left. I ended up getting the pill. I never felt so embarrassed in my life. I take the accountability of what happened, and I'm just mad at myself for being so weak and insecure. I posted about it on another subreddit, and the comments were so hurtful, but also right. I guess I was so easy. I'm so easy that I lost my control just because I felt in peace with someone. How can someone be so desperate for affection? Why do I never learn? I hate myself for it. I even broke down in bus stop because I'm so embarrassed. I can't even stand myself, and no wonder why other people can't stand me and leave me all the time as well. What? Girl, you're being way too hard on yourself. I think that this is pointing to a deeper insecurity.
Am I overreacting for cutting off my neighbor's Wi-Fi after they changed my router password? Hell no. Absolutely the fuck not. They tried it. I love this for them. I moved into a duplex about 6 months ago. My neighbor and I got along pretty well, and since my internet plan was faster than theirs, I offered to let them use my Wi-Fi until they got their own service set up. That turned into months of them using it, which I didn't really mind because they offered to chip in every now and then. A few days ago, my internet suddenly stopped working. I logged into the router and realized that admin password had been changed. I asked my neighbor if they knew anything about it. They casually mentioned they had changed the password because they wanted to organize the settings after buying some smart home devices. No, fuck that. My settings are not for you to fuck with. You leave them set wherever the fuck I set them. My neighbor said they forgot to tell me the new password. I asked them to change it back, and they acted like I was making a big deal out of nothing. They kept saying, you still have internet, so what's the problem? First of all, no, I don't still have internet, because the only reason I know that this happened is because my internet stopped working and I had to come to you to find out fucking why. Second of all, it doesn't goddamn matter if I have internet or not. This is my Wi-Fi and you don't get to change shit. So either change it back or get locked out. That bothered me because it's my account and my equipment, and they changed the password without asking me. So I removed all of their devices from the network and changed every password. Now they're upset because they work from home a couple of days a week and said that I put them in a difficult spot. I don't give a fuck. I don't care, because not once did you think about the difficult spot that you possibly put me in fucking with the settings on my Wi-Fi. I don't care what spot you're in, because 6 months ago, the agreement was you can use my Wi-Fi until you get your own setup. Now you haven't done it. Seems like you should have did that. A couple of other neighbors think I should have just given them the new password and talked it out later since we've been sharing anyway. I don't think the issue is the Wi-Fi itself. I think it's they changed access to something that wasn't theirs without asking. So am I overreacting? Hell no. No, you're not overreacting. You know you're not overreacting, and I know that you're not overreacting. Your neighbors, all of them, are fucking insane. What the fuck do you mean you should have given him the new password and talked about it later because you guys have been sharing for so long? So communication is important when it's coming from me. But when he decides to change settings on something that he does not own, no communication is needed and there should be no consequences? Get the fuck out of here. Since you guys feel so fucking strongly about it, make sure that this person can connect to your Wi-Fi. I've done this. Completely disconnected somebody from my Wi-Fi, but because I'm a bitch and I'm petty, I stood over them and watched their shit disconnect and then asked them what was wrong with it. In my mid-20s, I was still living at home, and it was just me and my grandfather. My grandfather knew nothing about Wi-Fi. He had cable, he watched TV, he didn't give a fuck if nothing in my room worked. So I got the cheapest Wi-Fi plan that I could have so I could run my TV, my phone, my iPad, all that good shit. So I had a family member that was basically living on the property, and he came into the house and took a picture of the password that was still in the router box because I didn't change it. No one else used it but me. My grandfather didn't know what the fuck a router box or a Wi-Fi was, so I'd have to worry about it. He would sit outside and watch movies on his phone, but it would dramatically slow down anything that I was doing in the house. So I went to him and I asked him, I need you to disconnect from my Wi-Fi service because it's affecting what it is that I'm doing in here, and I'm not paying for anyone else to use it. Bro thought I was playing. He thought this was a fucking game. So one day I'm in my room and I'm watching TV, and all of a sudden this shit starts fucking buffering. It starts spinning. What the hell is going on? How come my Wi-Fi is not working? I'm checking, bitch, I paid the bill. Everything is connecting. Why is my service so goddamn slow? I looked out the window, seen him on my front porch watching a movie, even though I had already previously asked him to stop doing that. So I opened the front door and he locked his phone to make it seem like he hadn't done anything. So I asked him how he was doing, told him, here, come get some water because it's hot outside. Waited for him to go back outside and restart his movie. Then I completely reset my Wi-Fi. I removed all of the devices, put my phone, my iPad, and my TV back on it, and reset the password. Then stood in the window and watched him try to reconnect to the Wi-Fi multiple times, opened the door and asked them what happened. Weren't you just watching a movie when I came out here a couple minutes ago? Why is it not working now? Could it be because you were connected to Wi-Fi that I asked you to not be connected to?
I accidentally exposed my fiance's double life. But the other night I was getting ready to go to the gym, quite a regular occurrence. However, recently I decided to walk to the gym instead of driving, burn a few more calories. So obviously I've been putting my headphones on before I leave the house, very important to remember. Anyway, as soon as I connected my headphones, they said that my fiance's phone was actually connected. He must have used them last. I'm just going to disconnect and connect them to my phone when I suddenly hear a woman's voice through my headphone. So I couldn't really make out what she was saying, but eventually she started saying like, hello, can you hear me? Why aren't you answering me? I thought I was going honestly insane and maybe like I left a weird show or podcast running. And then it came up on the screen, my fiance's phone's disconnected. He comes running downstairs and he's like, what did you hear? What did you hear? And I'm like, whoa, why are you so angry? Kind of the beginning of the end, because I found out all of my fiance's lies after that, including that woman that I heard that I thought was maybe a podcast was actually his girlfriend. Fiance's had a girlfriend for the past year. And then on top of that, he's been cheating on me for the past 4 years by sleeping with girls. I add in, his opinion is totally okay. And I mean, thank God I decided to start walking to the gym, because otherwise I honestly have no idea when I would have heard about this. I truly believe I would have married this man and had no idea he was cheating on me this whole entire time.
Am I the asshole for wanting to tell my brother that his girlfriend has been involved with our sister? I'm 24 female and genuinely don't know what to do. My brother, 28 male, has been with his girlfriend, 25 female, for 3 years. They live together and everyone assumes that they'll get engaged soon. About 2 months ago, I was at my sister's 26 female flat while she was out walking her dog. Earlier, we'd been looking through old family photo albums and she took photos of some of them for me on her phone. She told me to airdrop them to myself while she was out. While scrolling through her camera roll, I came across screenshots of messages between her and my brother's girlfriend. At first, I didn't think much of it because they've always been close, but one of them felt weirdly flirty. I know I shouldn't have looked, but I did a little bit more after that because I got a bad feeling, and then I found 2 explicit pictures of them together. One was from around 8 months ago, and one was from 2 months ago. As far as I know, both of them are straight, which honestly made the whole thing even more confusing. I kept looking after that, and there were loads more screenshots between them, mostly normal stuff like memes, etc., but mixed in with messages like miss you already and wish you were here. Neither of them know that I know, and I haven't told anybody. But now every time we're all together, I feel sick because my brother has absolutely no clue. He talks about marrying her constantly. What's making me question everything is that technically I found this by looking through my sister's phone. I wasn't snooping originally, but I definitely crossed a line once I kept looking. Part of me is also scared I somehow misunderstood something, but I know for a fact that those photos were explicit. If I tell him, it will completely destroy my family. But if I stay quiet, I feel like I'm helping them lie to him. Also, part of me is genuinely paranoid my brother somehow already knows and this is some weird arrangement or something, in which case I'm an awful person for snooping. But even if that was the case, that's weird and I'm uncomfortable. Okay, obviously, I just feel like every single time with some of these stories, it's like, for the love of God, can you just talk to the person?
I'm forcing all of my family to come to my abroad wedding, but they have to pay for all of their flights. Even before I was engaged, I was set on having an abroad wedding, and every single family member or friend that knew me knew this. If I'm being really harsh, they should have been saved. Anyway, about a year and a half ago, I got engaged. Best day of my life. I just knew I was going to be one of those girls that the wedding became my personality. Sorry, not sorry. I was kind of contemplating doing an abroad wedding maybe in Greece or like Italy, somewhere that's quite easy to get to. Just so the flights were a little bit cheaper. But realistically, that's not what I want, and it's my wedding, so why should I alter what I want just because people are coming from England? I have always loved the idea of getting married in Bora Bora. I feel like it's really underrated in terms of wedding venue places. And some of the venues were just absolutely insane. Some of the hotels and resorts were just out of this world, as you can imagine. So we went there for 2 weeks to view a few of these hotels. We booked and picked our accommodation that week. But this was about a year out from the wedding. All of our friends and family know you are coming to this wedding. It's not optional. We're gonna pay for your accommodation just because it's involved and included in the wedding package. However, you will be paying for your own flights. We're not made of money. I also do want to add that none of my family or friends are in like prior commitments, basically. I knew every single one of them were free the day of the wedding. They're all in jobs where you can take annual leave or work abroad. And also, I'm not being funny, but if I mean even a sliver to you, will come to this wedding. I am going to take it personally if nobody ended up coming. It really shouldn't be an issue when I should matter so much to you.
Am I in the wrong for telling my friend that if she couldn't keep up because of her disability, she just shouldn't come? I, 26 female, have had a pretty close group of friends. We have this one girl in our group, Sadie, 27 female. She has a disability that is mostly manageable through medication. Despite this, Sadie has a bad habit of forgetting to take her pills right before we do something that she isn't interested in doing. This time, it was on a friend group trip we've been planning for over a year. We each decided to take a day and plan an activity that the whole group would participate in. We also rented a van together to get to our destination, as that was the most ideal situation. The first issue with Sadie came up when we were getting to our destination. Due to the length of the drive, everyone was going to be driving for an hour to get there. Right before it was Sadie's turn, she had a flare-up and couldn't drive. Our friend took over. The next morning, my friend had planned a tour of the town. We all reminded Sadie several times to take her medication, as this was an expensive tour and we did not want it to be cut short. Well, she had forgotten and the tour had to be cut short. This is when I got genuinely upset because now my money was being wasted. Throughout the week, she had flare-ups pretty often. The actual fight that led to this post occurred on my day though. The previous day, Sadie had no flare-ups. It was also her day to plan. This was because she had set alarms to take her medication regularly so that she would be okay. We all reminded her to please take her pills like that again. I decided to take all my friends on a trail ride on horses, as the trails in this town are known for being exceptionally beautiful. We paid extra for the basic lesson prior to the trail. In the basics lesson, we were all paired off based on our experience and performance in the small arena that they had. I was paired with Sadie. Well, 1/4 of the way through the trail, she started having a flare-up. I told her that I wouldn't be turning around as this was expensive and I was truly looking forward to this. She begged me to turn around. Finally, the ranger told us that I had to turn around as she was my partner. In the car, I told her that she knew how important this was to me and that she should have just taken her pills. She told me that I was being ableist and that I didn't know what the pills did to her. We got into a huge argument in which I said, if your disability can't take being a good friend, then maybe you shouldn't come on these trips anyway. While I agreed that this was pretty harsh, I didn't think I was in the wrong considering that she had cost us so much money over the years for simply not wanting to do something. My other friends agree that Sadie is inconvenient at times, but I should have been more sensitive to her condition. I'm honestly torn on whether to apologize or not.
Story time when I got essayed by my uncle and my family made me get an abortion. This is not my story. I repeat, this is not my story. It was sent to me through email. Okay, so I come from a Hispanic background. And believe it or not, I stayed in a household with at least 15 people. Growing up, I was told that I was gonna be a model because I was very beautiful. My aunties were beautiful, my mother was beautiful, my dad was very handsome, and I had very handsome cousins and uncles. Alright, so growing up, I remember having a crush on my uncles because they were very handsome. And they would always goof around with me. They would say that I would break so many hearts and I would have so many boyfriends. So I thought I had the perfect family because I had my grandparents, my dad. I was the only child, my cousins, and my uncles. I was never scared. The only time I was scared was when they shared stories about ghosts with me. I remember my aunties, my grandma, and my mother telling me not to wear shorts because there was a lot of men in the house. And now that I am older, I realized that this was a red flag. But this was not just once, it was literally every freaking day. And I heard this for years. It would tell me not to wear underwears for pajamas, not to wear mini shorts or mini skirts, and my chest to be covered at all times. I found this completely super weird. I did not know where this came from, but at such a young age, I didn't know what they meant by that. I had this uncle that was always babysitting me, and he just loved hanging out with me. I didn't find it weird because he would play with me at all times. He would play Barbies with me, and he would place me on his lap so many times, if you know what I mean. He would always babysit me so much that my uncles even told him to go play with the guy cousins. They called his attention so many times. Till one day I remember I was playing in my uncle's lap, and my other uncle walked in on us and immediately started yelling at my other uncle who would play with me so much. I started crying because I literally didn't know what was wrong. After that, my uncle, who was a couple years older than me, not so much, stopped hanging around with me. He didn't play Barbies with me no more, and every time we were near each other, my mom and my aunties would separate us. I seriously did not understand why. I remember crying because I couldn't hang out with my uncle no more. And it was so weird because we literally lived in the same house. A couple of weeks go by and they let me and my uncle play again. Looking back, I don't even know why they let him play with me. With so many red flags, go to part 2. When I got essayed by my uncle and my family made me get an abortion. Okay, so me and my younger uncle started playing again. And ever since that moment, I don't remember sitting on his lap again. Mind you, I was 6-7 years old. All I remember was getting yelled at because I was sitting on his lap. Since I was so young, I didn't know the meaning behind it. It doesn't get any better, it actually gets worse. My mother and auntie still remind me not to wear shorts, dresses, or mini skirts. Me and my uncle started playing again, but we started playing outside our neighborhood. Since the house was crowded because there was 10 to 15 people in the house, and we lived in apartments, my uncle would take me all the way to the back of the apartments where there was only a parking lot, the laundromat, and staircases that went one floor down to an underground parking lot. My uncle would always take me to the underground parking lot, and he always wanted to play the game husband and wife. That's what he used to call it. Basically, we would just start off by holding hands and hugging each other. My uncle was very smart because he knew to make sure that it was not just me and him being seen going to the underground. He made sure that other neighborhood kids would be around too, so it wouldn't look suspicious. Whenever my other cousins try to come with us, he would tell them no, that we are just kids, to leave us alone. I don't think my other uncles knew what was going on because, like I said, the other neighborhood kids would play with us. Majority of the time, it was just me and my uncle who would end up in the underground parking lot playing husband and wife. I remember him just giving me kisses, little pecks in the mouth. I had no idea what was going on. We didn't do this very often. It was only when our parents would let us play. So growing up after this, my uncle stopped playing this game because he realized that I was getting older and I knew what it meant. Because we would watch telenovelas together, and that's when I realized what a kiss was. I honestly never told my mom or dad or my uncles what was going on. So the years go by and I'm finally 15. My family ends up throwing me a big quinceañera, which is a 15-year-old party. There was around 600 people. It was the best time of my life. I was only able to bring a few classmates. Remind you, I had a father and uncles. They were very jealous. At the very end of my quinceañera, that one specific uncle asked me to go pick up my present with him. I ended up telling my mom that I was gonna go with my uncle to pick up a present that he got me at the mall. Mom said no because my uncle had been drinking a lot. And I was kinda tipsy too. Because it was a family party, they let me drink. My uncle kept insisting and insisting. It was a big lie. We did not end up going to the mall. Go to part 3. Part 3, when I got essayed by my uncle and I ended up getting an abortion. Okay, so my uncle insisted and insisted to my uncles and aunties that we were okay to go. He had 3 expensive presents at the mall waiting for me. Being completely tipsy, I rush over to the car. As we're driving and we are nowhere near the mall, I noticed that my uncle has a serious face. I asked him if he was okay and he said that he was paranoid just due to the police. And that's where he confessed that he wasn't drunk at all. For me being tipsy, I closed my eyes for 3 seconds. And when I wake up, I realize that we are nowhere at the mall, we are at a park. He wakes me up and he tells me that the gifts are in the back, that basically he already picked them up for the mall, that I fell asleep. So me being completely dumb and still tipsy, I went to the back and my uncle follows me. 2 seconds, my uncle drags me into the car by my hair. He closes the door so hard that he almost broke my foot. That was the moment he completely took advantage of me. He threatened me by saying if I said anything that he was gonna murder me. We get back to the party like everything is fine. And a month later, I realized that I'm pregnant. Confessed to my uncle, and I swear to God, a week later, he ends up leaving to another state for quote-unquote job. My aunties actually ended up finding out that it was my uncle who had taken advantage of me. Basically, went on the run. They took me to the nearby clinic to get an abortion.
Am I wrong for leaving my date in the parking lot? I, 30 female, broke up with my long-term boyfriend a couple of months ago. I've been on the fence about dating, so I was really hesitant when the cute lawyer in the office below mine asked me out for dinner. He recommended a really nice steak restaurant, the kind where the steak melts in your mouth and they don't put the price on the menu, and I agreed, as long as we paid for our own dinners. I was the one who suggested this because I didn't want him to pay that kind of cash on a first date since I make a decent salary, but I was also worried he would think I was just going out with him for his money. So I got all dressed up and drove myself to the restaurant. We agreed to drive ourselves, and it's going well until I went to the bathroom. I ordered a medium rare ribeye, like this steak was made for my dreams. I was probably more excited with the steak than I was about the date, to be honest. He ordered a filet mignon, nice, but it's no ribeye. When I came out from the bathroom, the waitress had already left our steaks out, and my date was digging into my ribeye. I asked him if that was my steak, and he pulled the whole, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I thought this was mine. I'll get you another one." But I felt really terrible. I'm a big girl. I can come back and get another steak. And filet mignon is fine. Date continues and I thought things were going well, minus my ribeye, until the check came. He grabbed both bills and exaggerated that he would pay for it. But I reminded him that we agreed to split our bills. He looked through the bills and handed me mine. I didn't realize until my card came back with a $400 charge that he handed me the bill for my ribeye that he ate. He was very, very apologetic and said he would buy me dinner to make up for it. I tried to play it off. Mistakes happen. He probably forgot. It's fine. But then he wrapped his arm around my waist and asked me to drive him home. What is this man? He sounds like a moocher. I may have been out of the dating game for a while, but I'm not dumb. This was one of the reasons why I suggested we drive our own cars. So I took his arm off of me and told him that he could use the money he didn't spend on my ribeye to pay for an Uber. I drove home and cried into a bottle of wine and figured it was just a bad date. Whatever. Next Monday, I go to lunch and it's like every person in the building knows that my date went badly, and even that it was my fault for being unreasonable. Even my friends have been telling me that I was in the wrong for leaving him at the restaurant and making him call an Uber, telling me I'm a prude. I feel like an asshole because I was rude. I could have explained my feelings better and maybe I could have just driven him home, but I don't know. This man's a moocher. Okay, you made your intentions clear. You said separate bills. Okay, I personally would have been like, no, I would have told the waitress like, hey, he actually ate my food, and I would have made sure that I paid for the filet mignon because I'm 100% sure filet mignon is cheaper. 2, you said, let's drive separately. Why did he have the intention of driving back with you when you said, I don't want us to drive together? And 3, why did he complain about it to everyone? What are you? Like, how? He's trying to manipulate the story to make you look like the bad guy, which it's working. He ate her food on a date. He ate her food. And people are mad at her. You don't do that. If you know what you order, guys. Everyone at the restaurant, you're staring down those waiters, waiting for your food to come. You know what's yours. The moocher.
Am I overreacting? My girlfriend left me over a cheese wheel. I, 27 male, and my girlfriend, 26 female, were saving for a house payment. I have saved $32,000 and she has saved $4,000. So I feel like I bear the brunt of the financial decision making here. I was doing the Oxford County Cheese Trail and I found a vault release. They were selling a 140-pound wheel of 21-year-old cheddar. 21-year-old cheddar often sells for about $120 a pound. The farm was selling the entire wheel for $18,500. If I cut it into 200-gram wedges and I sell it at $60 each, I can make $38,000. I bought the cheese wheel and I brought it home in my truck. When I rolled it into our apartment, at first she was excited. When I started to explain the financials and investment potential, she turned sour. She didn't yell, but expressed she wasn't happy about how I spent my share of our house savings. She is now staying with her parents. I think she's overreacting because she doesn't understand the Canadian housing market. Our savings is not enough for a down payment, and we need to take these opportunities. Am I overreacting, or am I the only one with ambition in our relationship?
This feels like a huge investment.
He's a cheese dealer now. We do get an update. For those curious, my girlfriend is no longer in the picture. So I've decided to go all in on this business.
No! I think this is 100% real. I couldn't be this quirky.
I'm gonna see if I can buy some. I'm gonna message him. I'm gonna be like, can I buy some cheese?
Yes!
I'm gonna try to buy some. Can I buy some cheese from you?
And we'll have a slice.
Shipping to California.
And if he
LOL.
can't figure this out,
I'll
he's
pay.
fucked.
I will pay above market price for the cheese for the plot.
we have to try the cheese.
It's a 21-year-old cheddar. Can you? It's gonna be good.
Oh my God, and we could pair it with like a good bottle.
What crackers do we get though?
Oh my God. I don't want to. We'll ask somebody. If
I
you
really
can get
want
this
this
cheese here,
cheese.
if he can't figure out how to deliver it, he's fucked.
Oh, he's got no shot at a business.
Because this is the PR he has.
Am I the asshole for telling my daughter I'm disappointed in her and won't take her out to a second restaurant? My daughters, 14 and 16, are on the same dance team. Their team won a competition on Sunday, and we were all so excited and proud of them. After the competition, my dad suggested we all go out to eat, and he said he would pay for whatever we wanted. Older daughter, who loves seafood, has been asking for years to go to a restaurant that has unlimited crab legs, but it is very pricey, so we've never been able to. She immediately suggested this restaurant. My dad liked the suggestion. My younger daughter suggested we all go to her favorite restaurant, a local Mexican restaurant instead. We've been there many times as it is much more affordable. Knowing this would have been a wasted opportunity, I said older daughter's suggestion made more sense because it was somewhere we've never been. Younger daughter complained that she wouldn't like anything there, but I assured her the menu would have more than crab legs. We got there, and sure enough, there were many dishes that didn't have seafood, including steak, youngest's favorite. Even though there were dishes without seafood, younger daughter said she wasn't hungry because the restaurant smelled weird. I ordered her steak anyways. Younger daughter pouted throughout the meal. She picked at her steak. Older daughter was very happy and completely absorbed with the crab legs. My mom tried to talk to my younger daughter about the competition, but she wasn't responsive. At the end of the meal, we were all stuffed, except for youngest. My dad told everyone to pick a dessert to go, except for youngest, because she's clearly not hungry. I asked my dad to leave her alone, and he said he did, but she was already upset. When we got home, I tried to talk to her, explained that this was a rare opportunity and sometimes we needed to let someone else have something nice. I told her I could have taken us to the Mexican restaurant this weekend. She said it's not the same because the restaurant we go to the night of the competition is special, and we went somewhere she didn't like. I pointed out that she didn't know she didn't like it because she didn't try. She said I know she hates seafood and that the restaurant is known for its seafood, so of course she wouldn't want to go there after a special event. She was annoyed all Monday and Tuesday, but she started to mellow on Wednesday. This morning she asked if we were going to the Mexican restaurant tomorrow. I said not this week because of her behavior. We'll see next week. She wasn't happy. Am I being too hard on her? I think she was very rude to her grandparents, but I know when you're a teenager, everything feels like a bigger deal than it is. Should I have just let her behavior slide and taken her to the Mexican restaurant?
Am I wrong for taking away my daughter's gifts because she didn't spend Christmas with us? My daughter Leah's mother and I were never married, but we did officially separate when she was 5. I got with my wife Naya when Leah was around 9 and married her when she was 12. The thing is, Leah never got on with Naya, didn't want to spend time with her, and was just generally very unpleasant to her. We are currently in family therapy, and honestly, I think Leah says the meanest things possible to avoid actually discussing her feelings. And mind you, she's absolutely amazing to hang around with one-on-one, but it's very unpleasant around Naya. Anyways, we were all supposed to spend Christmas together as per our custody agreement. Leah is 16 now, and we have been more lenient, but always adhere to our agreement for holidays and birthdays. Well, on Christmas Eve, Leah went to see her boyfriend's family and drop off her gifts. At around 6, I called her and asked when she was coming home, and she said she was staying.
I thought I had forgiven my husband for cheating on me until I fell in love with someone else. I, 34 female, have been married to my husband Will, 38 male, for 10 years, married for 7. We have a child, 5 male, and 4 years ago I found out he was having an affair. A story as old as time itself. The classic signs were all there. Distant, long working hours, smiling at his phone, etc. So one day after he went to bed, I checked his phone. Found out it was the fresh graduate, 23 female at the time, that joined his company the previous year. From the messages, it was a physical and emotional affair that had been going on for at least 6 months. The cheap hotel intimacy was hard to read about, but what was worse was how emotionally connected he was, calling each other nicknames, doing things that were historically our things. No, it was too much. I took all screenshots, packed my bags for my kid, and I called my brother to come pick me up from my parents' house. And when my brother was here, woke up my husband to tell him I was leaving. By the end of the week, I had already had a consultation with a lawyer. There was no going back. For the next 2 years, yes, years, not months, my husband tried relentlessly to win me back. He did everything, and did everything right. Begging and groveling. He was blinded by the attention he got, cut off the girl immediately, switched jobs within 2 months, booked counseling sessions that he begged me to attend, made progress in counseling, read books, you name it. He was visiting our son almost every day after work and weekends. When he wasn't there, he would text me where he was. He also shared his location. I saw genuine and consistent change and remorse in him. And after 6 months, me and the baby moved back in. Things did get better every day for the next year and a half until we reached the normal state we are in now. I can't explain why or what it is, but during the last 4 years, I felt that we have been in an emotional limbo. Things are normal, as I said. We go on dates, have intimacy, have family, just like before. But I feel emotionally detached from him, like I can't be all in. I know I have forgiven him, and now I don't even think about the affair every day. Neither do I have any reason to doubt him anymore. But I also don't feel this love for him like before. He seems to think we are back to our old relationship, but I feel like we are very friendly roommates that smile and wave and just go with the flow. I thought this was my new reality, and I was never going to get the old me back until I met Jake. I met Jake, 35 male, about a year ago on our local subreddit. He made a post about a hobby we share, and I commented, "It's a rather uncommon hobby, so not many people have an interest in it." The first month was nothing but talk of this hobby. Then we slowly started to get to know each other. He is a widower, and I told him I have a family. We met a few times for coffee after work and for the hobby. Yes, my husband knows that I am meeting this new friend Jake for the hobby. He doesn't know I found Jake on Reddit. I don't know how to word it properly, but I am finally happy and back to my old self. And the reason for this is Jake. We have fallen for each other over the last year and have confessed our feelings for each other. I never thought I would feel this way again. And yet, here I am. We have never done anything physical, only met in public, but this is certainly emotional infidelity towards my husband. On one hand, I understand that emotions are not rational, and it is my husband's doing that we are here. But on the other hand, I feel extremely guilty because he has been trying so hard to reconcile. I also feel so angry at him these days for putting me in this position. Also, in the middle of all of this, I am in pain that I can't be with Jake, and I am shackled to my married life. Jake says he understands my duty as a mother and would never ask me to do anything I didn't want to, but he was there for me and my kid if I wanted. I don't know why I made this post. Maybe to clear my head. What do I do? Where do I go from here? Do I torpedo my marriage and all the hard work we have put into reconciliation to pursue a fling with somebody I just met that may or may not turn into anything serious? Do I wipe him out and go back to whatever limbo of a marriage I have left and just suck it up?
My wife left me for another man. After he got her pregnant, he left her. 9 months later, she showed up at my door. So my wife and I were married for 6 years and together for 9 when she left me. We were high school sweethearts, and I thought that we had an amazing relationship. We were one of those couples that everyone was jealous of. I was head over heels for her, and I thought that she was for me too. We had always talked about having a family, and for the first 3 years of our marriage, we were actively trying. However, we found out that I was infertile, and we were devastated. It sent my wife into a depression, and for a while, I thought our marriage was going to fail. However, we eventually came to the decision that we would try to save up for IVF, and if that didn't work, we would look into other options. So we spent the next 2 years saving up every penny we could. It was hard, but we both really wanted children. I thought we were doing really well, and I thought that our marriage was stronger than ever. We finally had enough money to undergo the procedure, and we were just about to make the appointment when my wife told me that she was having second thoughts. She said that she was worried that she would not be able to love a non-biological child as much as a biological one. I told her that I could understand her concerns, but that I thought we should try anyways. She said that she needed time to think about it. A few weeks later, she told me she made up her mind, that she did not want to go through with the IVF. I was very disappointed, but I told her that I loved her and I would support her in whatever she wanted to do. I told her that we could look into other options. However, she said that she actually made up her mind about something else. She said that she had been seeing someone for a few months and that she was in love with him. She said that she was moving in with him. I was completely blindsided. There had been no signs of this at all. I begged her to reconsider, but she said that her mind was made up. She left, and that was the last time I ever saw her. I was a complete wreck for a long time. I had no idea that anything was wrong with our marriage, and I had no idea that she was seeing someone else. I was in a dark place and I thought about ending things. I was able to work through my feelings and get to a better place. I was able to move on and eventually started dating again. However, I still thought about my ex-wife from time to time, and I always wondered what had happened to her. I had no way of contacting her, as she had changed her phone number and all of her social media accounts. So I was completely shocked when, 3 years after she left me, she showed up at my door. At first, I thought she was there to apologize for what she had done to me, but then I saw that she was holding a baby. She said that she needed to talk to me. She had a baby from him, and he dumped her after she gave birth. She's begging me to take her back, but I don't know what to do.
Am I wrong for stealing my sister's baby? My 29 female little sister, 21 female Jane, has a 14-month-old baby girl, Sarah, whom I have had custody of since late June of 2020. Jane was divorcing her husband, jobless and homeless. I offered to take temporary guardianship of Sarah so she would be safe and cared for while Jane got her life together. At first, she turned me down. However, after Sarah was dropped off to our mom's house in dirty clothes and an old diaper by a stranger while she was supposed to be under the care of her father, Jane agreed to give her to me and my wife. Now, we made it clear that it would be temporary and that Jane would still have full access and could get Sarah back whenever she felt ready. However, during the last 6 months, Jane has completely disappeared from Sarah's life. She doesn't ask about her, doesn't make any effort to visit her. She doesn't ask us to bring her to visit. She has gotten a job and a place to stay, unsafe in my opinion, yet haven't offered to take any financial responsibility, not even in the form of buying her gifts. She doesn't call to talk to her or see her. I spoke to Jane recently about all of this, and her defense is that it's too emotionally hurtful to see Sarah because of how much it hurts and how much she misses her. The other excuse is that she doesn't have a car or enough money to buy Ubers or diapers. I told her about how ridiculous all that is. You don't need a car or money to call or text. We have always made clear we'd be willing to bring Sarah to her, and she spends a wasteful amount of money on food and vapes. Even after speaking to her about the things she should or could be doing, she still has made no changes. Because of this, my wife and I have decided to look into our legal options for adoption. Sarah has legally been abandoned, and we only need to keep her a little longer before the court would allow termination of Jane and her husband's rights. Her husband is even more MIA than Jane is. Jane is livid about this and is threatening all kinds of things, but has done nothing. Important information. After I offered originally and before we actually got physical custody of Sarah, my wife and I attempted IVF and failed. We hadn't told anyone about this, even family. However, I told Jane about this on day 1 just so that there would be full honesty and so that none of this would seem sneaky if it were to come out later. Jane is bringing this up in a very hurtful way during all this, saying that I'm trying to steal her baby since we can't have one on our own. We have one adopted son already. This is very far from the truth. We are genuinely worried about the safety and well-being of Sarah if she were to go back to Jane. And the fact that Jane has essentially ghosted her baby, we feel we have every right to pursue permanent guardianship and adoption. So, am I the asshole?
My cousin got revenge at her best friend's wedding. Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. Last summer, I was at a cousin's wedding. His bride and her family had been close with ours since before I was born, and the couple had known each other since they were toddlers, so this was a particularly exciting event for both sides of the family. However, after the ceremony was over and the party had only just started, one of the bridesmaids decided to announce her own engagement. The attention was immediately taken away from the newlyweds and brought to the bridesmaid, who I'll just call Sarah, and her equally smug fiancé. My cousin's wife, I'll call her Emma, didn't make a scene or utter a single negative word about Sarah. She looked like she was on the verge of tears, but kept grinning and acted like she was very happy for the other couple. This was unusual, as Emma is typically quite confrontational and speaks her mind no matter the consequences. Sarah later picked Emma to be her maid of honor at her own wedding, which took place last weekend. I wasn't there for it, but my cousin sent me some of the best bits on Snapchat and explained the whole situation. This is where the fun begins. Emma's two much younger sisters were the flower girls at Sarah's wedding. At the very last moment, Emma switched out the white petals in the basket for blue ones she had secretly brought with her. She told her sisters not to say anything about it or let the bride see them until it was time to scatter them down the aisle. Sarah looked very confused upon seeing the blue petals, which didn't coordinate whatsoever with her theme. But of course, she didn't say anything about it in the moment. Most of Sarah's other bridesmaids were also Emma's friends, had attended Emma's wedding, and were in on Emma's scheme. At the reception, Emma's sisters and other bridesmaids were tight-lipped when Sarah began demanding to know where the blue petals came from. The wedding planner ended up getting a lot of abuse for not checking the flower girls' baskets before they walked down the aisle. Finally, it was time for speeches. The speeches took place in front of a massive screen, displaying a loop of photos with Sarah and her husband, which had been compiled by Emma. Emma took the remote that controlled the presentation screen, and at first, she showed some pre-approved humorous photos of Emma with Sarah and other friends to facilitate a couple lighthearted jokes. Then, at the very end, Emma said to Sarah that she must be wondering why there were blue petals instead of the white ones originally planned. That was when Emma displayed the last slide from her presentation. Emma announced in front of everyone that she was 5 months pregnant and that she just discovered the baby was a boy, hence the blue petals. The last slide, her ultrasound picture. There were shocked yells and gasps. Sarah had a fit, but those involved in the scheme cheered so loudly that I sincerely regret watching the Snapchat recording with headphones. Apparently, Sarah had been very nasty to her bridesmaids before, driving several of them away and forcing the others to pay ridiculous amounts of money for dresses. Emma and my cousin were eventually thrown out of the party, but they were all smiles. Sarah's fuming mother went to confront her outside, and Emma retorted with, "Gentle, gentle, I'm pregnant." I reckon Sarah doesn't speak to the majority of those bridesmaids anymore. And remember, let the brides have their moment.
This guy scammed me, so I ruined his life. Story time. So I used to be a private investigator, and about 3 years ago, I was hired to do a personal contract. The client was a super rich, sleazy snob, so we'll call him Steve. He hired my unit because he believed that his wife was cheating on him. He was doing this so he could start the divorce process with some solid evidence. So he hired us for a 6-month contract, and he was to pay X amount at completion of the contract. So we set up surveillance all over their house and in the wife's car as well. And we had at least one member of the team watching her at all times. Day and night, we were watching their lives. So as time goes on, we're watching her and we very quickly realise that this woman is actually such a saint. For example, she volunteered at a soup kitchen. She also did some work at a children's hospital. One night, she even went out with one of the churches and did a canned food drive. And she did so many more, they're just the ones that I can remember. She was literally the definition of what a good human should be. On the other hand, the husband was a total arsehole. In fact, he was the one we caught bringing women home. And it was bad. It was sometimes like 2 or 3 a day. And that was only the stuff we managed to get from the surveillance in the house. So we arrived at the 4-month mark of the contract. This is basically where we show the client what we found and a bit of a report. So my agency go into this meeting with like 6 hours worth of video and audio reports. We then go to debrief and we basically say, look, we didn't find anything on her, maybe just 2 little parking tickets and then a speeding fine. But other than that, she'd done absolutely nothing wrong. And after we concluded the debrief, he looked stupefied. And he turns to us and says, "So you didn't catch her cheating? What the hell was the point of me hiring you then?" Like, weird flex bro, but okay. So my boss, which is our captain, turns to him with what I can only describe as the most badass stare. "You asked us to follow your wife and now you're mad that your wife is a faithful woman." And Steve became visibly annoyed by this statement. And he stands up and starts getting his jacket ready to leave. And we were like, look, there's still 2 months left of the contract, so we'll keep tailing her and see what we can find. And that was when our friend Steve turns around and says, "Don't bother, this is over." He says you can come and pick your equipment up when she's not in the house and get out. So a week later, we went and did just that, and we went to go get our stuff. So with our contract, you pay a small amount at the start as a commission fee, and then you get the rest at the end of the contract. In Steve's case, that's 6 months, so let's fast forward to the payday after the contract finished. So my group gets a call from the office to come in on the next payday because there was an emergency. And it's regarding us, and guess who? Everyone's favourite client, Steve! So we get there and find out that Steve had refused to pay and pulled all funding. So yeah, we were still going to get paid, but we wouldn't get that completion bonus. Naturally, we all left super angry. So we went for lunch and we brainstormed on how we could get even with our best pal Steve. And that was when we remembered that we had the footage of sneaky little slithery snake Steve doing the deed with those other women from his house. So the first thought was blackmail, but that was low and we were better than that. That was when we remembered Steve's wife. So I set a date so that we could sit down with her and explain everything that happened. So I ended up showing the wife the videos. And, you know, unsurprisingly, she cried for a solid half hour. We must have broken our whole world, and it was absolutely gut-wrenching to watch. We gave her a copy of all the evidence and a good lawyer, and we encouraged her to reach out to them. Fast forward another 6 months, I'm beep boop called into court because my company is suing him for fraud, breaking a contract, and not paying his fees. Unsurprisingly, we won the case because his lawyer's argument was that we didn't deliver the result he was wanting. Obviously, we're not there to deliver a product, we're there to just observe and record what happens. Anyway, the wife ended up contacting me eventually. She did actually go through with the divorce, and she basically got everything because of all the evidence. She got the house, all of the cars, and a huge payout from him. We actually bumped into each other in a mall about 6 months ago and we caught up over coffee. Anyway, the tea now is that we're now dating. It's so comforting knowing you've got someone there that you can trust.
Would I be wrong if I asked my wife to wear more clothes around my friends? My wife has always been a free spirit. It's what I love about her. She's comfortable with herself and with her body, and as a result, during the warmer months, she likes to walk around in her bra and panties. Whenever it's just me around or her female friends, I'm completely fine with that. However, I recently had a male friend stay with us. When he stayed over, I was mildly surprised when she was walking around the house with him there and one of her sexy bras and her undies. I have never asked my wife to change, but this is making me really uncomfortable, and I just feel like it isn't something I should need to ask her not to do. But I'm worried that asking her not to dress that way when my male friends were around may come off as controlling, judgmental, or like I don't trust her. Top comment says, okay, only a bra and underwear when guests are over is really, how do I put it, a lack of decorum. Yes, of course she wouldn't be wrong, but I have to say she might not take it well. Am I wrong for telling my mom's new boyfriend that he's not really considered grandpa and telling him my sister's baby won't be calling him that name? My sister just had her second baby about 4 weeks ago, and as usual, everyone's really excited. Everyone, including my mom's new boyfriend of almost a year. Let's call him Gabe. Gabe is pretty cool, and all around he's a fun guy to be around, but to be honest, neither me or my siblings consider him a father figure. Or someone close. I mean, we're all pretty much grown up and have our own lives, so what men our mother sleeps with has literally nothing to do with us. Also, I'm not sure if it matters, but our real dad has been out of our lives since we were little. But yeah, my sister had her baby and everything was great until I went to visit. She told me mom and her new boyfriend came over and brought gifts, but she was super uncomfortable with the man she considers a stranger holding her daughter. I was inclined to agree. Although Gabe was nice and had given her money here and there, he's not really her dad, so I get it.
Am I wrong for not being upset that my friend's dog could die because of me? So this weekend I threw a garden party and I invited all of my friends and their partners. One of my friends, we'll call her Amy, takes her dog literally everywhere with her. I told her when I invited her that there'd be no pets allowed, considering that I had cats and they didn't really like any other animals. So fast forward to the garden party and Amy turns up with her dog. I very politely reminded her that no dogs are welcome in my home or in my garden. And I asked her to please take her dog elsewhere. So I went back inside to sort some bits and I thought that Amy had left. So when I came back out to the garden, Amy was just stood there still chatting with some of our friends. And she does not live close to me, so I was very confused. So I went over to her and I was like, Amy girl, where's your dog? And she just shrugged her shoulders and said that she didn't know where her dog was. Then very passive-aggressively went on to say that she was only popping in since her dog was not welcome anymore. So I went looking for this dog and I found him at the bottom of my garden eating some of my plants. And he was just making a big old mess. I was quite frankly fuming and told Amy to escort herself and her dog off my property. So a few hours go by and she calls me and asks me what her dog had ate. And obviously I had no clue. I literally have a gardener who deals with everything and I just look at them and think it all looks really pretty. I did tell her though where I found him, that obviously he was eating my plants and making a mess. She started screaming down the phone at me to find out what her dog had eaten because he was now sick. I texted my gardener and asked what it could be that the dog had eaten. Unfortunately, he didn't reply, and Amy called me a little bit later and was telling me that I obviously don't care if the dog was to die. My gardener still hasn't replied to me, so we still don't know. However, I don't feel like it's my responsibility that all this has happened after I told her multiple times that I didn't want her dog on my property. So what do you think?
Am I wrong for telling my sister that her feeling sick all the time is because of her breast implants and embarrassing and exposing her because we were in front of family? I, 21 female, have an older sister, 26 female, who is sick all the time, gets a bunch of rashes, and is complaining all the time about feeling like trash. About a year ago, she was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and ever since she's blamed every single one of her issues on the disease, even if it's completely irrelevant. She stubbed her toe, it's because of the disease. She's late to an event, it's because of the disease. She doesn't feel well, of course, it's because of the disease. And it's important to note that the doctors even told her she's probably had it her entire life. But she also 5 years ago got breast implants, and ever since then she was starting to feel sick and horrible all the time. And if y'all don't know, breast implant illness is a real thing. It's very common where women who got breast implants will start feeling sick after getting them. And y'all, that's exactly why I get scared to get my own. Am I wrong for telling my sister that her feeling sick all the time is because of her breast implants and embarrassing and exposing her in front of family? Our family was in town for a bit, so we were all hanging out, and she starts doing her usual complaining, saying that she feels horrible all the time because of her disease. I got fed up with the complaining and told her being sick all the time and feeling horrible is because of her breast implants, because she didn't start feeling that way until after she got them done. Now, she didn't like that I said that and started screaming at me, "You don't know what the F you're talking about, and I'm just trying to make it all about me." Then me and her went back and forth for a minute until her mother stepped in and took me to the other room. She told me that I was in the wrong because I don't know my sister better than she knows herself, and I exposed and embarrassed her in front of the family. They had no idea that she got breast implants, and my sister kept it very much on the down low from everyone, so I understand why I could have embarrassed her. But I don't think I was wrong because it's pretty obvious that's what caused it.
I, 18 male, found out that my father, 42 male, baby-trapped my mother, 40 female, with me. I grew up thinking my mother had abandoned us. That is what they always told me. They told me my mother packed up and left us when I was 2 years old. I grew up to resent and hate her, mainly because I saw how my father was working super long hours to make ends meet. I hated how my grandma basically had to raise me. When I would ask her about my mother, my grandma painted a picture of a bitter, spiteful, hateful, spoiled, and entitled woman. I felt very justified in my anger and hate for her. That's what my family told me, and I had absolutely no reason to doubt them. A few weeks ago, I found her on social media, and I was so mad. She was out there living her best life. She is a chef in a Michelin star restaurant. She travels, has a huge apartment, and apparently is married to a gorgeous man. In a fit of rage, I DM'd her, cursing her out for abandoning me to live her frivolous life and that karma would come to her. She obviously saw it. Instead of going off on me, she just asked me to meet her and that she felt like I had a right to express my anger to her in person and that she owed me as much. I was starstruck because my father said she never stood for the consequences of her actions. Without telling anyone, I agreed. She invited me to this amazing restaurant. She paid an Uber for me and everything. It was all very awkward at the beginning. I kept berating her. I was so angry. I cried a little. She just sat there and took it all in. I then asked her why she abandoned me. She then asked, "Do you really want to know the whole story? It is not nice and you will not like it. I am ready to be the bad guy in your head forever and keep my distance." I just kept pressuring her, and then she told me the real story. She told me that my father and her shortly met before ending university. At that time, my mother had said she did not want to stay in the university's town. A few months after dating, my father told her that his landlord was evicting him because the apartment was needed for immediate family use. She offered him to stay while he found something else. Months passed and he was not doing anything. Then she got a job in another country. She told my father that he could take over her apartment or come with her. They had a huge fight where my mother told him that she was not ready for this type of commitment he wanted. She wanted different things in life than him and that as much as she loved him, they weren't compatible. They stayed living together, and then one day she found out that she was pregnant. She told me honestly that she was thinking of not having me. She did not feel ready to be a mom at 22. She did not feel maternal feelings. She said she was already struggling with depression and late diagnosed ADHD. My father convinced her to have me. He said he would take me because he had a right to me. He would go after her because that baby was also his. So she had me. She said the time after birth was really bad. My father was dragging out legal procedures. He refused to vacate the home. My mother said that while she felt love for me and that there were moments where she felt overjoyed, it was overshadowed by huge waves of suicidal ideation. She was scared that she was going to hurt me. She also showed me some of the court documents of the time that backed up her claims. In the end, she was so desperate that she agreed to stay with my father if he agreed to be the main caretaker. He did, but only half-assed. My mother told me that it got so bad that she tried to commit suicide around my 2nd birthday after a particularly nasty fight when my father admitted to having tampered with her birth control. She showed me the papers of the involuntary 72 hours commitment and the legal documents where she found unfit to be a parent afterward. I felt nauseous after all of that. I would not have believed her hadn't she brought so much evidence with her. She then asked what I meant in my message that we were struggling. I told her that we were not exactly rich and that I was struggling to come up with the money to go to university in another city. She was bewildered and asked me what my father had been doing with the monthly payments she was making. I told her that we don't receive that money. Then she took out a stack of papers. Guys, she is sending child support every month. It is almost $3,000 every month. She is court mandated to pay me $1,500, but she doubled the payments out of her own will. She doesn't have to pay that amount. She wants to. She was very concerned about this and told me that she would talk to her lawyers ASAP to transfer the money to me directly. In the end, she apologized to me. She is very sorry to have put me through this. She was very sorry for not being stronger, and she was very sorry for letting me grow up the way I did. She was crying. I was crying. She then told me to take my time. She wouldn't contact me again regarding the payments and that it was up to me if I wanted to see her again. That she couldn't be the mother I wanted, but the least she could do is help me with anything that I need. I hugged her. I cried. She cried. I boxed up my food and she got me another Uber home. At home, my father was not there, so I went straight to bed and left early the next morning, and I'm staying with my boyfriend. Whole life is a lie. I found court documents that confirmed that my mother had been physically assaulted by my father. Upon further research, I determined that my father spent 3 months in jail for the assault. That was when I was 4 years old, which would explain why I do not remember anything at all about that. I met with him a few days ago, and this is when I asked about child support, posing the question like, "Hey dad, did my mom ever give you child support for me?" He denied ever receiving child support, citing the courts will go easy on women. Same day I snooped around and found a stack of cash with over $5,000 in one of his drawers. I did have the data to the household account, but the $3,000 monthly payment was never figured in that account. Also, I scouted for withdrawals for more than $100 at a time that maybe could explain the $5,000 stack, which was only composed of $100 bills, and nada. I did in fact contact my mother after finding all of this out. I confronted her with the newfound information. She admitted that it was quite bad and she did fear for her life. My father apparently had friends in law enforcement that were following my mother and making her life impossible, giving her tickets for the most inconsequential stuff, pulling her over for random controls, everything possible to intimidate her or to find dirt on her. My father gave her the ultimatum of just signing over without a fight, or he would make her and my life impossible. My mother told me that he had been abusing her since I was born, as early as 1 week postpartum. When my father uttered the ultimatum, she felt hopeless and just tried to end it. It did not work, and after she was released, my father served her and battled for full custody. Because she was deemed unfit to parent, it was really easy for him. She told me the court actually went pretty hard on her. About a year after that, my mother attempted to establish visitation with me. She reached out to my father, who invited her over. He told her that she could be in my life if she agreed to be together with him again. My mother told him no, and then a fight ensued. That was the night he assaulted her. He assaulted her so badly that she wound up in the hospital. In the hospital, seeing her wounds, they had to report it. So he was sentenced to a year, but only served 3 months. At that time, custody of me was with my grandmother. My father resumed custody of me at the time of being released. I was able to corroborate all of this after reaching out to my aunt, who has not spoken to our family in 10 years. My aunt Mia basically documented my mother's abuse. She took pictures of her bruises and recordings of my father screaming and threatening her. She told me that she testified against my father in court and that she could back up everything my mother said because he did the same thing to her. I insisted on seeing the pictures and recordings. My aunt was resistant to this, but a part of me did not want to accept that this was reality. So yeah, my father is a monster.
Am I wrong for leaving my sister in the hospital while she had a stillbirth because I had to do my MCAT? I know a lot of people know what it is, but if you don't, it's the medical college admission test. My sister Mia and I are usually close, but this is really causing some issues. I genuinely didn't think I did anything wrong, but I do want some insight, and by the way, this happened in April. Also, if you're curious, I'm 22 and she's 28. Mia had a high-risk pregnancy, placenta previa, and some other issues. She eventually had to get a C-section a week earlier than expected, but the baby was stillborn. I had my MCAT the day after Mia delivered, and she told me she wanted me to stay with her. We talked before they took her in, and she was a screaming, crying mess. That's awful. I ended up leaving since I had my exam early morning, and I came back to the hospital as soon as I finished. I did hear the awful news that the baby was stillborn before the exam, but I didn't go then. So a few days passed and Mia's super pissed. Am I wrong for leaving my sister in the hospital while she had a stillbirth because I had to do my MCAT? I ended up leaving because I had my exam early morning, and I came back to the hospital as soon as I finished. I did hear the awful news that the baby was stillborn before the exam, but I didn't go then. So a few days passed and Mia's super pissed at me. She's saying that I ditched her during the worst time of her life, and I told her I was really sorry. But I really had to do my MCAT. I know she's going through a very difficult time, but she completely went off on me, saying that I could have done it any other day. She told me that I thought some test was more important than her and her baby's life, and that I deserved to fail. Mia's still saying I'm selfish, and at the least, I could have gone to the exam directly from the hospital and stayed with her the rest of the time. A lot of extended family know now, and some are saying what I did was terrible. My mom agrees with me, but is saying to let Mia be because she's going through a trauma.
Turns out you guys were right, but we'll get into it. Firstly, I unblocked Mike this morning and called him to talk. After a few hours of arguing, I finally got the truth out of him. He said after I told him about my past, he was fine with it because it happened before him. Then he got curious about who Jake and Adam were. So he went digging on my Facebook friend list and didn't find Jake, but he found Adam. He then condemned me for having an ex on my social media page. I said I don't speak to the majority of the people on my Facebook, but I wouldn't delete them. I just won't engage. He said that in his eyes, that was a red flag, so he went digging. And he found what he was looking for. He saw that Adam was well known and well liked by a lot of women because of the women liking and commenting on his posts, and by the cars and trips he posted prior. He knew that Adam had to be well off. He also admitted to knowing some of the women who were in Adam's comments. He then tried digging into Adam's friend list, but it was hidden. So he asked Jessica to stalk his likes, comments, and posts for a Jake. Sure enough, they found Jake, saw that Jake drove an expensive car, and came to the conclusion that I only date men with money. No, Mike doesn't have money, so his entire analysis was dumb. Anyway, I asked him why he just didn't come to me, and he confessed that for a while he thought I was interested in Jake and Adam for money because that's what women do. He then said that him and Jessica brought the situation up to his guy friends, and they all agreed that this is how the situation went. I was dating Jake, he introduced me to Adam. I found out Adam had more money than Jake. I left Jake to sleep with Adam, then started dating him. I questioned why I would leave Adam if I was with him for money, and he said he thought that was a lie and Adam had to be the one to leave me. Ouch. He then said that he contemplated breaking up with me over this for months, but as he got to know me, he slowly realized I'm not that kind of person. I told him that he's basically full of shit for dirtying my name with his friends. Then I asked him why he didn't clear up my name. He said whenever he brought me up, they all dismissed me as a gold digger, thought a woman who slept with men for money, and here's the kicker, probably still have some of that money saved. They came to the conclusion that I must be with Mike for some ulterior motive, but he was too embarrassed to defend me. He also said that he was embarrassed every time I mentioned a male friend or tagged any guy on social media because they all teased him afterwards. I remember him asking me not to like any other man's photo on social media and to not tag any guys, but I just thought it's because it made him uncomfortable, not because his friends were silently stalking me. After hearing all of this, I decided to end things with Mike. I told him that he's not a nice person and I can't trust him anymore, especially because he knew I was saving for months to afford the PS5, and he even allowed his friends to think that I got my money somewhere else. After ending it, I said, "Oh, by the way, have you ever slept with Jessica?" He said no, but after she found Jake, she suggested that they hook up if he ever needs to get back at me in the future. I asked what she meant by getting back at me, and he said that she was certain I would cheat on him with a wealthier man if I found one. He then said that he gave me the truth after all these years, so I should forgive him and give him another chance. But I didn't. I just thanked him for the good times, the memories, and for dirtying my name. Then I hung up and blocked him again. Now I think I'll take another long break from the dating world. Thanks again, everyone.
Am I the asshole for making a scene after my sisters-in-law announced their pregnancies at my birthday as a gift? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. My 24 female boyfriend, 24 male, has two sisters, Emily, 30 female, and Diane, 32 female. They are both married and trying for a baby. Diane announced her first pregnancy at Mother's Day this year. She gifted her mother a baby shoe and a positive pregnancy test. Everyone was happy, and even more when Emily told everyone that she also was trying for a baby. Later that evening, I texted both of them saying, "Congratulations, I'm happy for you. It's a bit weird for me and my boyfriend because we recently learned that I'm sterile. I hope I didn't cut the mood, but I'm really excited for the both of you." They sent me some texts assuring me that everything was well. Sadly, Diane lost her baby 2 months after this party. Fast forward to last week. My mother-in-law, both sisters-in-law, and I met for a girls' night. My mother-in-law wanted to organize a party for my birthday, so she asked me if it was okay and what I wanted to do. I said fine, but birthdays are tough for me. When I grew up, my parents always made my birthdays about them. They never invited my friends or close family. They always invited their colleagues and friends. They had big parties where they drank a lot of alcohol, so after I wanted to be sure to have a small party with close family. Around 12 people, so nothing really big. The party was yesterday. I was helping my mother-in-law when both of my sisters-in-law and their husband arrived. They both also brought their in-laws and some friends. So what was supposed to be a small party ended up with more than 40 people. My mother-in-law was a bit irritated because we had to go buy more drinks and food for the uninvited guests. The party went well and it was gift time. I opened my gift from my mother-in-law, then father-in-law, then one from my boyfriend. It was sweet. Next were my sister-in-law's gift. They gifted me one small package for them both, which is fine. I asked for small gifts if they were willing to give one. I opened it and it was a small size shirt. I was more of an extra large than a small, saying best future on. There was also written with marker ×2. The package also contained 2 positive pregnancy tests and a photo of them touching their bellies. I looked them in the eyes asking, "Are you pregnant?" They both said yes. Emily took the shirt out of my hands and showed it to everyone. As I was starting to cry, I ran outside, my boyfriend following me. I had a panic attack. When I came back, everybody was happy. They were all congratulating the pregnant couples. I felt really sad. My boyfriend talked to his parents and we left the party without saying anything to anybody. In the evening, I received some nasty texts from some of my boyfriend's family saying things like, "Why did you ruin their announcement? It was only a birthday party. Please grow up." I do feel bad. My boyfriend was planning on telling them to fuck off. But I don't want him to ruin relationships with his family. My father-in-law and mother-in-law called me to apologize, saying things got out of hand. So was I the asshole for making a scene?
Am I wrong for saying it's easy to be the perfect mom when you don't have kids to someone who's infertile? Oh, that is brutal. But I feel like you have a reason for saying it, hopefully. I, 28 female, have a 2-year-old son. My brother, Tommy, 25 male, has been dating Gianna, 22 female, for a few months now. She's a little judgmental, not of me particularly, but in general. She babysits for other children and constantly judges appearance. She said she'd never let her kids act the way the kids do. Sometimes it'll make sense, and I agree. Others, she claims that her future kids will never, ever throw a tantrum. They'll accept no the first time and the only time. I've told her good luck with that when it comes to toddlers. My son is learning no and has appropriate consequences for tantrums, but he's learning. It'll happen. It's also important to note that Gia is infertile. She can't have kids without medical intervention or adoption. Saturday night, we went out for my dad's birthday dinner. I messed up and didn't prepare my toddler well enough. He got overstimulated and began melting down. I quickly took him out of the restaurant to calm him down before he could cause a scene. It took all of 5 minutes and we returned. He got food and all was good. Gianna started on, "My future kids will never act like that in a restaurant." I ignored her. The next day, myself, Tommy, our parents, my son, and Gianna went to the mall for an event they were having. My son was playing in a structure and I had my eyes on him. My mom asked me a question and I turned to answer her. When I turned back, he was gone. Panic set in and myself, my parents, and Tommy, along with some people nearby, began helping me look. It only took a few minutes to find him and he was perfectly fine. He had seen a pretzel cart and wandered off. I was still pretty worked up, holding on to him for dear life. He had never wandered off before. My mom was reassuring me, saying it happened to her with both of us kids. Then I hear Gianna, "Why weren't you watching him?" I tried ignoring her. Then she said, "I would have never let him wander off." I was already so worked up and upset, and I snapped. I said, "It's easy being a perfect parent when you don't have kids. Come back to me when you do." Gianna got visibly upset. She then made Tommy take her home. Tommy and Gianna have both texted me, telling me how insensitive that is since she can't have kids. To me, she's talking about having kids all the time, so why is this different for me to say that? So, am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for getting my boyfriend arrested? I'm a college student, and this is my last semester until medical school. I've never been able to get a loan, and I've worked 5.5 years to get this degree, because I have to pay out of pocket and it takes way longer. I've worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs and barely had a social life. For this upcoming semester, I reached my goal for tuition, so I quit one of my jobs so I could relax a bit. I was a server and bartender at 2 bars, as well as had an office job, so I always had cash hidden in my apartment in a closet in a box. Well, yesterday I get home to put money in the box because I was going to deposit it today and it's all gone. I freaked out and tore my apartment up thinking I put it somewhere else knowing I didn't. I called my boyfriend like crazy and no answer. I didn't sleep last night because I was panicking. This morning he finally calls me back and I'm yelling at him about my money and he's acting all confused like I'm crazy, and he comes over and I'm still pissed off. After a while he finally admits to me that he took it so he could borrow it and he'll pay me back.
Where the fuck is he gonna get $14,000 from in 2 weeks? I went into a rage and called the police and reported it as theft because that's what he did. Well, it's been a few hours now and I guess he got his phone call because his family has been blowing up my phone and his mother said some really hurtful and racist things to me. They've been harassing me for the past 6 hours now and it's stressing me out even more. His brother did offer to pay me back and said I should go to the police station and drop the charges. So, am I the asshole? Let me know your... My partner told me he was excited to start a family, but went and had a vasectomy done in secret. I, 22 female, have always wanted to be a mom. I've been with my partner, 24 male, for 6 years now, and he was aware of this. He supported it, but obviously wanted to wait until we were older to start trying. But now we've both graduated from college, are working stable jobs, and are engaged. Now we are at the stage, and we discussed and agreed to start actively trying for a baby. That was about 7 months ago. He's known how badly I've wanted this, and he's seen how upset I gotten each month when the test comes back negative. But he's always supported me and comforted me by telling me it would all happen soon. But it didn't. 2 weeks ago, he told me we needed to talk. He ended up telling me that he had a vasectomy performed while we were on a trip with friends for my 21st birthday last year. While I respect his decision to do so, I can't help but feel hurt that he did this and kept telling me not to worry and that it'll happen soon and how excited he was for taking this step. I just don't understand why he couldn't have told me he wasn't ready or he didn't want kids. I really thought we were on the same page about wanting kids someday. I'm just in complete shock that he's hidden such a major thing from me. We haven't been speaking much and he's been staying with his brother since he told me. I don't know how we can work this out or move past this. I still love him, but I'm hurt that he acted like nothing was wrong. It's made me doubt if I even want to go through with our wedding now, but at the same time, I don't want to leave. So what should I do?
Story time about how my sister went missing on our family vacation. So, little background information. My sister, my family, and I decided to stay at a beautiful luxury resort in the Caribbean. Now, my sister was quite a few years older than I was, but I was super excited because my sister and I were finally going to be able to spend time together after her being away at college for what felt like so long. Which, her and I did spend a lot of time together, but my sister was living her best life. She was young, smart, outgoing, beautiful, and everything else under the sun. Allison, aka my sister, was the girl who in a room full of 100 other people, she was the one who caught your eye. And of course, all of the guys were drooling over her. There were the boys that were her age, and then there were the older men, and then there were even some of the married men. Gross, I know. And even some of the women. But she had 2 little vacation situationships going on. And like I said, she was living her best life until she wasn't. The one night my sister Allison ended up not coming back to the room. And that was the plot of Saint X, a new show on Hulu with new episodes every Wednesday streaming now.
Am I the asshole for bringing my sister-in-law's wallet to the restaurant when she conveniently always forgets it? My 28 female sister-in-law Amy, 26 female, always comes to visit from out of town. She stays with us instead of a hotel and always wants to go to expensive restaurants. She always conveniently forgets her wallet or comes up with some excuse as to why she can't pay her share. She has implied that since I make much more money than her, I should be the one to pay. No, not my husband should pay, but me specifically. I do make a fair amount of money, but not so much that I can treat someone every time they come into town. Nonetheless, in the past, I have just paid the bill and asked her to pay me back. She never has. She had made a reservation at an extremely expensive restaurant last night, and before we left, I made it clear that I wouldn't be paying her bill. This is where I might be the asshole, and I'll admit, I got this move straight out of an episode of 2.5 Men. When we were leaving, her and my husband went to the car. I pretended I forgot something and went back inside. I found her wallet sitting on top of her suitcase. I put it in my purse and we went to the restaurant. When we were done eating, I asked for separate bills. She said, no, we only need one bill because she forgot her wallet again. I reached into my purse, pulled it out, and said, this wallet? She was extremely furious. She said that I shouldn't have touched or grabbed her wallet. So, am I the asshole? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Update. Am I the asshole for bringing my sister-in-law's wallet to the restaurant when she conveniently always forgets it? From the sister-in-law's perspective. This is Amy. My friend told me she saw this post and everyone is saying I'm a leech. The thing my sister-in-law did not tell you all is that she has no problem paying for her sisters and always singles me out and expects me to always pay. She takes her sisters out to restaurants and never makes them pay. Ever since she got with my brother has been so cheap. He always used to help my mom and I because we don't have a lot of money, and he stopped doing that since he's been with her. He used to always help me and my mom with our bus tickets to come see him and to visit my niece. Now he always says he doesn't have money. So maybe I am wrong for always forgetting my wallet, but it's not fair that she always pays for her own sisters, but not for me. She would never take her sister's wallet and embarrass her at a restaurant trying to make her pay. Taking my wallet and sneaking it to the restaurant when she can afford to pay for things is so messed up. In our culture, the older siblings always pay. She is so cheap, why can't she just treat me? Why does she only treat her sisters and make me look like the bad person when I expect the same treatment as her sisters? I hope people don't think I'm an asshole when they learn more about the situation.
Am I wrong for pretending I don't have money so my family won't bother me? My wife, 52 female, and I, 51 male, recently partly retired with $4 million in savings. I am a systems engineer and my wife was a registered nurse. I still work part-time but less than 20 hours a week and my wife is fully retired. The thing is, we are very frugal people and try to save where we can. I've also made it clear to my wife to never tell the family we have money and pretend that we are dead broke. Let me clarify that her family knows we do well, but they never ask for money and my family won't stop. That's because my mom, dad, and brother are terrible with money. A reason for this is that my dad and brother both work oil and gas, which results in a few fat years of tons of money coming in, followed up with layoffs. I'm not saying the layoffs are their fault, but they never save anything, so they run up credit cards to pay for everything. And they borrowed against their house so many times they haven't paid anything towards the principal. Am I wrong for pretending I don't have money so my family won't bother me? They've had their house for 35 years and should be retired by now, but they can't. My dad recently had to go back to work as a school bus driver because they have so much debt and no money. And now my brother has inherited their spending issues and has his own alcohol struggles. Not to mention he's currently going through his second divorce. The thing is, I didn't tell my son not to tell his grandparents that we recently retired. They found out from him recently and have been calling me livid because we pretended to be broke for years. But clearly if we can retire, we have savings. I never told them because I know the result, and they would just keep asking for money constantly. For example, one time we went on vacation and they found out via Facebook. Then they came knocking for money. We lied and said we won some money but ended up spending it all on our vacation. Am I obligated to help them? I don't feel so bad because both my parents and brother made lots over their careers. But my dad's in his 70s working.
Am I wrong for telling my terminally ill sister that she can't have my mum's engagement ring? So my mum passed away when I was 7, and she gave her brother/my uncle her engagement ring. The ring was originally my grandma's and it had been passed down throughout all of the women in my family. And eventually I would be able to give it to my daughter or son if they ever wanted to get married too. So my dad remarried 2 years later and my stepmom had 2 daughters. We'll call them Evelyn and Amy. And I'm not that close to them, but I also don't have anything against them either. So last month, unfortunately, Amy was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So her boyfriend recently proposed to her and he said that she'd mentioned my mum's engagement ring because she just knew how pretty it was. And her boyfriend said that she had always wanted my mum's engagement ring because she thought it was just unreal. My boyfriend told my dad's wife, and then my dad's wife told my dad. All 3 of them kept telling me how much she wanted the ring and that I would obviously eventually get it back when unfortunately she's not with us anymore. And that it would be nice for me to fulfill her wishes given the circumstances. I said that I really didn't want to give her the ring, however I would give them a photo of it so they could get it replicated if they wanted. And they did not like that one bit. And then they told me that I was denying her a family ring. I said, well, it's not her family ring, it's my family ring. Amy had nothing to do with my mum. So I asked my dad how Amy even knew about the ring in the first place. And he said that he'd shown Amy some pictures of my mum's ring over the past couple of years. And that he also showed her the jeweller pictures from when he was getting the ring designed. He said he thought it would have been a nice bonding moment for them when they were younger with him. My stepmom pleaded with me. Amy even wrote me a letter saying how much she'd love to wear it and how much of an honour it would be to get married wearing my mum's ring. I'm now getting shit from my dad, my stepmom and my stepsister's fiance. What do you think? Am I wrong for uninviting my family to my wedding over a prank? So I grew up in a family where men prank and tease each other literally on the daily. So ever since me and my fiance, we'll call him Steve, got engaged, my dad, uncle, cousin and brother have all joked about running some tests on him. And these tests were to see what type of man Steve was. The prank started by getting Steve to play chess 4 times in a row. Bit of a shit prank if you ask me. And then it progressed to stuff like them slashing his tyres to see how he would cope with it. They were basically trying to see if he knew how to fix it like a man or if he was one of those lazy types and would have to call someone to get them to help him. They would ask him what his opinion was on birth control, religion and Jesus, and also gender equality. And if you think that's odd, just wait for it. They took him out and tested his hunting and fishing skills. Then another time, they overwhelmed him with like hypothetical situations to test his problem solving and thinking skills. But even that's not the worst of it. They kept calling him slow and soft when referring to like his physicality. But this is because he literally has asthma. They are just adamant that he's making excuses for himself. I literally begged them to stop. But my dad said that it was all just a bit of fun and this was how men were with each other. And then they told me to stop ruining their fun. Last week, they took Tim on a 3-day hiking trip. And on the trip, they ended up hiding his inhaler. Steve left the trip and returned home early to tell me what had gone down. And let's play a game of guess how I felt about this. 10 points to you if you said seething, because I was in fact seething. Brother even actually admitted to hiding it as a challenge for him. Let's just say when they got home, I exploded on them. I even said, oh, did little Stevie run home to tattle on us? I just straight up yelled at all of them and said that they weren't invited to the wedding anymore. My brother absolutely shit himself. He kept saying how it was just a prank, they'd always planned on giving him the inhaler back. My dad said he'd apologise if I insisted, but I said that Steve had already lost all respect that he had for them. And to be honest, he didn't really have that much respect for them to start with. Steve has said that he thinks that the boys in my family will always see him as a little college kid, since we did actually just meet in college. I called them all awful people and then me and Steve left. My cousin is absolutely begging us to talk to him. We haven't heard a single thing from my uncle, but my dad is so mad and he's now trying to get my mum involved to help reconsider the decision. But I refuse to have them at my wedding if they think it's acceptable to treat anyone, let alone my new husband, like that. My mum is saying that I'm exaggerating and I should just let bygones be bygones. So what do you think?
Am I wrong for not allowing my ex to attend our child's birthday party? I, 34 female, and my ex-husband, 36 male, divorced 2 years ago due to irreconcilable differences. We share custody of our 7-year-old daughter, Lily, and have managed to maintain a relatively civil co-parenting relationship. However, things recently took a turn for the worse. Last week, Lily turned 8, and I decided to throw her a birthday party at our home. I planned the event meticulously, inviting Lily's friends, our family members, and a few close neighbors. I wanted it to be a special day for her. However, when I sent out the invitations to my ex-husband, I specifically mentioned that he would not be able to bring his girlfriend. Now, my reasoning behind this decision is that my ex-husband has been dating someone new for the past 6 months, and Lily hasn't had much interaction with her. I didn't think it was appropriate to have a stranger present at her birthday party, especially since my ex-husband and I agreed to introduce new partners to Lily gradually. My ex-husband, upon receiving the invitation, immediately called me, furious and demanding an explanation. He accused me of trying to exclude him from Lily's life and claimed that he had every right to be there for her special day. He argued that his girlfriend had already met Lily on a few occasions and saw no issue with her attending the party. Naturally, this turned into a heated argument with both of us standing our ground. I firmly stated that I didn't think it was fair to Lily to have a stranger present regardless of a few brief meetings. My ex-husband insisted that he had just as much right to be there as I did and accused me of being spiteful and controlling. The argument escalated and we ended up involving our respective families, who took sides and added fuel to the fire. Some of my family members supported my decision, claiming that Lily's birthday should be about her and her closest loved ones. However, my ex-husband's family argued that he should be allowed to attend and that his girlfriend was an important part of his life. Therefore, she should be included. We couldn't reach a compromise, and in the end, my ex-husband threatened legal action if I didn't allow him to attend the party. This left me feeling torn between wanting to make Lily happy and not wanting to escalate the situation further. So, am I the asshole for excluding my ex-husband from our daughter's birthday party? Small edit. To answer a few questions, Lily has no opinion. Her only concern is having all of her friends there and making sure the flavor of her cake is up to her standards. As her father and I have 50-50 custody, and the birthday party is during my time, I feel like I have a large say in this. Additionally, she has met the girlfriend twice. They haven't exchanged more than a few hellos, and she would not be comfortable alone with her. Therefore, I do not feel that it's appropriate to invite her. My ex-husband is free to come, his girlfriend is not.
Am I wrong for leaving my family vacation after they forced me and my pregnant wife to sleep in a bunk bed? Me and my family went on a vacation at a location around 8 hours away for a wedding. I have 2 sisters and both are married and one has a 1-year-old kid. My parents rented an Airbnb so the whole family could stay at the same place for 5 days. Check-in was at 4 p.m. and both my sisters and parents got there on time. But me and my wife, who's 7.5 months pregnant, arrived about 30 minutes late. As we're unpacking the car, we asked what room is ours, and my mom responds, "You get the bunk bed." Me, thinking it was a joke, say, "Ooh, I get the top bunk." Their response was, "No, actually, you get the bunk bed." They were 100% serious. While my other 2 sisters got a room for themselves and their husbands with queen-size beds, and me and my wife got the literal kids' room with a bunk bed. Me and my wife didn't want to cause a scene and seem ungrateful, so we decided to give the bed a try for one night. But fast forward to bedtime, it felt like sleeping on a wooden board. Am I wrong for leaving my family vacation after they forced me and my pregnant wife to sleep in a bunk bed? It's extremely uncomfortable even for me, which means my wife was in a lot more pain due to being pregnant. We tossed and turned for a couple more hours and finally agreed to sleep on the couch in the living room. We got a couple hours of sleep when my dad woke up and saw us on the couch and decided to go back to bed to not disturb us. Again, we didn't want to create a scene, so we went back upstairs and tried to get more sleep on the bunk bed. We get around an hour of the worst sleep I've ever had and just decided to wake up and go downstairs. Knowing we couldn't do that for another night, we decided to book a hotel room. I booked it for a couple more nights to get past the wedding and then we'd leave for home. After explaining the situation to my whole family, instead of accepting it or helping us, most of them started to get annoyed. They said that it's just another way for us to distance ourselves from the family, and we just sternly said we made our decision and they had to accept it. But now they're irritated and claiming we ruined the trip.
Am I the arsehole for giving my mother-in-law a fake copy of our house skin, exposing her at Christmas dinner? I want to preface this by saying I married my husband about a year ago. His mum is extremely snoopy and annoying as fuck. She can't help it, and it's just how she is, as my lovely in-laws say. So me and my husband moved into a new house recently, but my mother-in-law kept pushing to get an emergency key. And she promised that she would only use the key in an emergency. But given that she had a key for our old apartment and she walked in on us being intimate twice, my husband didn't think it was a big deal. I just didn't feel like I could trust this woman, but since she kept pushing, I sent her a fake key. And she had the most smug look on her face when I hand-delivered her the key. So days and weeks go by, and on Christmas dinner, my mother-in-law angrily calls out the fact that I gave her a fake key. And she shamed me for doing this in front of everyone. So in my defense, I asked her how she'd found out it was fake. And she said her and her husband had been around at about 4 when me and my husband were out the house. So at that point, I reminded her, didn't you say you would only use it if there was an emergency? So basically, you tried to get in when there was no emergency and you broke the promise you made to us. She started to go red in the face and everyone started to stare at her, and some even laughed at her for how red she was going. She then got up from her seat and ran into the kitchen where she had the biggest meltdown. It was so loud that even the neighbours next door could hear her. I've never heard a 60-plus-year-old woman throw a tantrum like that. Needless to say, the rest of the dinner was really awkward. My husband and his sisters kept giving me looks, and then my husband went off at me in the car. He said that I lied, exposed, humiliated, manipulated his mum, and he said he wouldn't have let me get away with this if he'd have known. And we then had this argument, and he is now demanding that I apologise to his mum. He said that I need to apologise for my childish behaviour and ruining Christmas dinner for the whole entire family. So what do you think?
Am I wrong for choosing to celebrate my sister's birthday instead of my dad's wedding? I, 27 male, have always been close with my younger sister, Mary, 20 female. Mary has been overlooked by my dad from the moment she was born. My dad never wanted a daughter, and tensions with his ex-wife, Mary's mom, led him to basically excluding her from everything. Nothing she ever does is good enough for him, and she's often excluded from family gatherings. I always try my best to include her, or even take her out, just the two of us, to make her feel better. But it's obvious that being excluded hurts her a lot. I am my dad's golden child and grew up spoiled, and while she tries to not show it, I can tell Mary is jealous of the attention my dad gives me. A month from now is Mary's 21st birthday, and she's very excited about it. I live in a different state, but I made a promise to fly over on her birthday so that I could take her out to get her first drink. We have been planning this for months, and I already got the tickets. My dad, 56 male, is currently engaged to Janice, 57 female, and a few days ago he texted me letting me know that their wedding plans changed and they plan to get married in their parents' yard on June 8th. He said he knew it was short notice, but they agreed that a small ceremony would be better so that they could go to the beach for their honeymoon while it was still nice. Now, my problem isn't the short notice. My problem is that June 8th just so happens to be Mary's birthday. Like, not even a day before or later. No, he plans to get married on his daughter's birthday. I brought that up and my dad brushed it off, saying it's just a date and it wasn't like my sister was going to celebrate her birthday with us anyways. I told my dad I already had plans to fly down and celebrate Mary's birthday with her, and I wouldn't be able to make both events. He seemed shocked by this and asked why I didn't just cancel for his wedding since I'm already paying to come down. I could even bring Mary along and celebrate her there if it meant that much to me. I'll admit this pissed me off because the least he could do was acknowledge his daughter's birthday. I told my dad that I plan on spending my day with Mary, and the only way I will come to his wedding is if she is invited and decides to go. He tried to argue with me, saying that birthdays come every year and weddings don't, to which I responded that this is his third, so it's not that special, but my sister turning 21 is. My dad hasn't spoken to me since, but Janice and other family have been calling and texting me non-stop. Janice told me that my dad has been crying and miserable over what I said, and that my selfishness has ruined their wedding. I'll admit that what I said may be harsh, but I also stand by it. I am not the one being selfish here, and if my dad wants his child at his wedding so badly, he can have all or nothing. However, my dad and family are still mad at me saying that I'm being petty and ruining his big day. So, am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for fake sleeping all night to see if my wife's lying? Last couple of months, my wife had been complaining about our cats. Been complaining that they keep waking her up and that she has to keep getting up and opening the door for them. Or it's that the cats keep making noises or they keep jumping on her. And it had gotten to the point where she told me that she wanted me to get rid of them. And I said I'd never seen or heard any of what she was saying, but she claimed that I kept sleeping through it all. She kept saying that she was getting less and less sleep and started acting aggressive. She put the aggression down to her not sleeping and said that if I didn't get rid of them that she would end up leaving me. I had legitimately started to think about giving the cats to my sister before I noticed something. This one morning, she woke up and she claimed that she'd gotten up multiple times in the night to help out the cats. And she started to list like a bunch of times that she'd got up with the cats in the night, but I thought that was a little bit weird because I'd been awake since 4 a.m. and she claimed that she woke up at 1 a.m. to let the cats out to open the door, and then a couple of times around 3 because they were meowing loads and they kept jumping all over her. I was in the bedroom the whole entire night while she slept and things just weren't adding up, so I decided to run a test. So I waited till she was going to go to bed, I let the cats out of the room, and then I lowered my phone brightness as well. I then faked going to sleep and I just lay there for the entire night just awake. I got so bored. And thankfully, I didn't fall asleep. I made sure to make timestamps on my phone on Discord just to make sure. And I was making sure to make timestamps every little noise that my cats made that night. So one of the cats jumped down from something and it made a little noise at about 3:18 a.m. And the other one ate food by the door, relatively quiet at about 4:18 a.m. Other than that, literally nothing happened. Sure enough, she slept from 11 p.m. till 9 a.m, but woke up saying that she'd been up at least 7 times in the night because of the cats. She said that she kept waking up to have to open the doors for the cats and that they kept jumping all over her. And I was so pissed because she was very clearly lying to me. I was just so exhausted and fed up with the lies that I bluntly called her out on it. I told her, well, that's funny because I stayed up all night last night to monitor the cats and they weren't even in the room most of the night either. I said, I have timestamps. Why have you been lying to me and trying to get me to get rid of my cats? And she just sat there quietly shaking and looking pissed. She then got up and left the room without answering. She then came back hours later but kept ignoring me whenever I talked to her. And then I finally asked her how I was the bad guy in this situation. Then she finally said that she felt like I treated her like a child by lying about being asleep and trying to catch her out in her lie. And that making timestamps as if I was an investigator was going too far. And she said that I was being an obsessive arsehole. And I only did it because she was threatening to get rid of the cats or she'd leave me. And her claims just weren't adding up.
Am I wrong for uninviting my mom from the wedding because she kept insisting I invite my sister? My sister Anna suffered a TBI in a car accident. She doesn't get a lot of social cues, is slow to respond, and sometimes throws tantrums like a moody teen. I do love and care about her, but the easiest way to explain it is that sometimes she acts like a child. Now, I'm getting married early next year, and my wedding is something I've dreamed about for years. So I'll put it bluntly, I don't want Anna coming to the wedding. My mom would be hovering all over her, and she might be distracting during the ceremony or reception. I suggested that we book a room for Anna at a nearby hotel. That way, if needed, mom can go check in on her. But my mom is saying that I should be including my sister. I tried explaining I just want this perfect day, but my mom does not want to hear it. We're not having kids at the wedding under 13, and I made the mistake of bringing that up in front of mom in relation to Anna and the behavior, which did not go over well. We had a big argument and I uninvited her.
Am I the asshole for not letting my son-in-law stay in my house with my daughter? Disclaimer, this is not my story, this is an anonymous submission. I, 53 female, have a 33-year-old daughter. She and her 34-year-old husband of 4 years have a 3-year-old son together and a 2-year-old daughter together. Now, cutting to the chase. My son-in-law has been unemployed for over a year now. In college, where he and my daughter met, he majored in business administration with the focus on the entertainment industry. He landed a prestigious full-time offer before graduating, and my daughter dropped out of college to move with him for his job. She concerned her days with making sure he had a good meal and was a supportive girlfriend to come home to. He rose in the ranks and was doing very well. However, after they married and had their son, my son-in-law became very bitter about the industry he worked in. Apparently, a friend of a friend was working long hours and nearly died because he fell asleep at the wheel. He became obsessed over the complicated laws behind all these workers. He said he disagreed that these workers were all contractors, and also something about whether they should be getting overtime. His crusade got him passed over for promotions. He'd come home depressed. My daughter was terrified of what that meant for their future. He then started recruiting people to file Labor Department complaints against the man who gave him his first big break in the terms of employment. He was not fired then, but a while later when the company started cutting the fat, he was the fat. And now my daughter and him are behind on rent when they were previously on track to buy a house. My son-in-law has applied everywhere, asked for favors, but even his friends said that they don't want to make waves by hiring him. My daughter would apply for jobs, but she has 2 kids to look after. They have been fighting, and the landlord told them that he wouldn't file for eviction if they moved out within a week and a half. I told my daughter that my house is always going to be here for her and her kids. However, she brought up the fact that her husband still does not understand her point of view. Namely, that this little war didn't just put his fate in jeopardy, but that of his family. He was so concerned about other families, he threw his own under the bus. My daughter was on the fence about living with my son-in-law. I wasn't. I told my son-in-law he needed to find some other place to stay because I didn't want him here. And to find a job outside of the industry. He said he'd find a job outside the industry, but nothing has turned up. He did drive to Long Beach for an interview, but hasn't heard back in 2 weeks. Without a job, I'm afraid he'll just mope around my house, making my daughter more upset. My son-in-law is complaining about both my coldness and his wife's, while not seeing things from my daughter's point of view. Meanwhile, I'm living off of what my late husband left for me. And it's not an infinite sum. So as a mother, my daughter and grandkids come first. My son-in-law obviously needs to get a job to save his marriage.
Am I wrong for telling someone I'm not friendly when their dog came up to me? I went to this restaurant with my wife and our name was called, and to get our tables indoors, we had to cut through the patio. We got stopped for a moment behind a table leaving and saying their goodbyes, and in those moments, a lab-type dog gets up and starts sniffing my ankles. I look at the owners and say, "What the hell?" and I point at the dog. They just say the classic line of, "Oh, don't worry, he's friendly." I admit I was a touch rude and said, "Well, I'm not friendly," and they pulled the dog back under the table. Then they started saying, "If you aren't friendly, you shouldn't be coming to a dog-friendly restaurant." I tell them just because the place is dog-friendly doesn't mean it's okay for your dog to come up to me. I don't want it in my space. They seemed baffled that someone didn't like their dog, and he called me an asshole and told me to find somewhere else to walk. I say F off as we head to our table, and my wife did say I was in the right, but I could have been nicer. By the way, in the restaurant is not dog-friendly.
I and a friend cropped us at a table because they made our server cry. It was my friend's birthday, and a group of us had planned to take him out to his favorite restaurant. When we got there, we were sat next to or near a smaller table full of dudes who fit the stereotype of dude bros. After roughly 5 minutes, we discovered that they were going to be a problem.
Can we ban dude bros from frickin' restaurants unless it's a sports bar?
They are pretty loud and rude, giving their server a hard time. Soon our server came, and it was the same girl who was serving the rude table. She apologized for the wait and made a comment about how she had a lot on her plate. We tell her that it's fine, we understand. She takes our drink orders and gives us some more time to pick our food. A few more minutes go by, and we hear yelling. From what we gathered, one of the dudes wanted a drink, alcoholic, but didn't bring his ID. The server was doing her best to remain calm and keep control over the situation. Finally, one of his friends steps up and says he'll buy the drink for him. The server does her best to explain that he can't, it's illegal, and she could get in big trouble for it. Dude 2 then gets upset, and now the whole table is in an uproar. Finally, the server says that she'll get her manager and quickly leaves in tears. The birthday boy is pissed and says he's going to say something. Luckily, his girlfriend stops him. That's when another friend smirks and says, "I have a better idea. We'll call him Jack." Jack goes, "I have to fart." Being on the same wavelength, I smile and go, so do I.
Am I the asshole for refusing to change my baby's name after I named her after my dad's affair partner? I, 26 female, just gave birth to my daughter Annabelle. I didn't announce beforehand because in the past, one of my family members stole a baby name and it created a lot of drama. My mom wanted to know, but I was adamant on keeping it a secret. My mom and dad were in their room when I gave birth, and when it was time for me to sign the birth certificate, my mom asked for the name and I told her Annabelle. Her face went pale and my dad didn't look happy, but he said he loved the name. My mom left a few minutes after claiming she didn't feel well. She said she'll come over in a few days to help with the baby. Now I'm at home with the baby and my mom hasn't talked to me that much. We used to talk every day, so I was confused by this sudden behavior. My sister Emily lives with mom, so I called her over to talk. When she got to my house, she explained how she overheard dad and mom arguing because about 10 years ago, my dad had an affair with a coworker named Annabelle. Mom hasn't been talking to him and he's been trying to get her to talk. I guess dad, realizing that Emily had come over, decided to come over himself. He asked if there's any way I can change Annabelle's name. I asked him why to see if he'll tell me the truth, and he did. He admitted to the affair. He begged mom not to leave him and she stayed, but just hearing that name had always put her in a bad headspace. I told him I can't, and that Annabelle was the name of my husband's grandmother who helped raise him. My dad begged and pleaded for me to change it, saying my mom was in the middle of packing her bags and heading to her sister's house. I told him I won't change her name and that it means so much to my husband. He began to raise his voice immediately, and my sister yelled back and told him to get the hell out. She told him not to stress me out about a mess he created. He left immediately. I'm not changing my baby's name, but I feel like this is tearing the family apart. What should I do? I agree that this is a mess that your dad has created, right? But have you reached out to your mom and spoken about it yet? Because I care more about how my mom would feel. I want to give a shit about how my dad would have felt in this situation. But if my mom was hurt hearing that person's name constantly for the rest of her life, I would consider that. Because if you have a good relationship with your mom and you love her, like, you wouldn't want to be constantly reminded of someone who slept with your husband. You're not the asshole, but your daughter is going to deal with most of the backlash in her life, so brace yourself for it. Unless your mom truly gets over this, it will put a lot of unwanted hate onto your daughter, so you have to think about that too. If your mom doesn't have a problem with it, then you're fine. But if she doesn't, if feels uncomfortable with you having that name for your daughter, and you can tell it really, really, really bothers her, then that's a conversation you need to have with your husband and see what prioritizes more. I mean, put it as her middle name because you said it's your husband's grandmother's name, or whatever it is. You have to figure out a way.
My 19 female family sold my rock collection when I went to college. What am I supposed to do? I'm a college freshman and I'm currently visiting my mom over break. When I got there, I saw a crystal that was in my old room on display, and I asked about it. My mom then told me that the rest was gone after the yard sale. For context, my parents were moving the same time I was getting ready for college, so the house was in chaos basically. I had a rock collection that I'd been growing for around 10 years and had cost me over $1,000. Some were gifts from old friends and family, some I had found in special destinations of significance, and all of them were important to me. Since the collection took up 2 cabinets, I knew I couldn't take it to my dorm room and decided to pack them up. My brother also likes rocks, so I thought he would be a good fit to look after them while I couldn't. Or at least until I decorated my room when my parents bought a house. Apparently, my brother, 21 male, picked through the boxes and told my mother, 50 female, to sell everything he didn't keep. My aunt and mother took a few each that they liked, but hundreds of rocks were either donated or sold, with none of the profit going to me and without my knowledge. When I learned this, I broke down into tears. I know they're just rocks, but they brought me a lot of happiness, and I can't believe they're just gone. Writing this out is making me cry again. My mother feels really sorry, and I don't blame anyone for this, but I'm crushed. How do I deal with this loss and not take it out on my family? I'm not mad at anyone. I just wish I'd explained better or something, and I don't want my family to think I'm angry with them.
No. Yes, you are angry with your family. You should be mad at them. What do you mean? No one's at fault. What are you talking about?
Your brother, at least, is at fault.
You packed it up. Your brother is 100% at fault. Oh my God.
Edit. My family didn't mean to steal. They just assumed I was giving them away. It wasn't necessarily malicious, but it was definitely wrong. And I think the reason I'm still struggling to be mad is because me and my mom have a really good relationship. She's the person I can always rely on. And I'm really hoping the situation is the misunderstanding I see it as. Thank you for your replies. I haven't had anyone to talk to about it all day since my friends are all busy and the only other people around are my family. Edit 2. My parents are well off, so I don't think they sold them for the money. Any money made was probably put into household funds, and I doubt they made $1,000 off the items. That's just how much I've estimated I've spent. I would also feel guilty to ask them for that much, especially since they are paying for my college. So I'm thinking about maybe asking them to buy something of equivalent value. I've never had to bargain with my parents, so I'm not sure how this will go down. I'm going to talk to them tonight since my dad is here now. I'm going to take the advice of writing something out to read them. All the people saying I'm a pushover are 100% correct, LOL. But I'm going to try to not be when I talk to them. We have one last update. This is probably going to be my final edit. I just talked with my parents, and I used kind of a long speech that included some specific memories I'd connected to the rocks and asked to be compensated financially for the loss. I was crying the whole time, so I'm not sure how much of it they understood. Surprisingly, they're completely willing to pay me back for it, and my parents were both completely sorry and admitted it was their fault. They told me that they were surprised that I didn't want the rocks, but that at the same time, I was giving away other sentimental things like stuffed animals that they thought I would have kept. Because of this, they didn't think to call me to confirm, since the times they had with other things, I had agreed. They said they're going to get everything back from my aunt and brother. My mom has already rounded up what she took, and they want to take me rock shopping the rest of the weekend that I have together with them. This has been such a chaotic day for me, and I never expected so many people to reach out. For those suggesting it, I am looking into therapy. I think that my issues with confrontation and social pressure in general warrant some professional help. My dad actually notes that he was proud of me for bringing it up to them in the way I did. I'm going to be a combination of mad and sad for a while, but now it isn't all stuck inside of me. Thank you to everyone for pushing me to talk to them up front. I probably wouldn't have done it without the help.
I think my wife might be cheating on me with a 17-year-old that she coaches. What do I do? These private sessions were becoming more regular, and after about 3 weeks of extra training sessions, he sent me a friend request to my Instagram. He wasn't the first one of the team to send me a request, and I usually wouldn't accept them, but I was giving this kid private coaching lessons, so I thought that it made more sense.
Why don't you ever just tell your husband you're doing private lessons? And
He started to send me DMs, so I responded because I'm not a total asshole. Okay, maybe the texts aren't about soccer anymore. There's nothing wrong with being friends with a kid.
yes,
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
You've always been super close with your younger brother, and I've never called you out for being weird.
That's exactly the same thing, actually. That's so the same thing.
His brother's like 25.
The message then proceeded to say how much of an asshole I was for trying to call her out and trapping her in a situation that would always leave her looking bad. She ended the message by telling me that she thinks she'll be able to look past this and forgive me for being a total insecure dickhead, and that if I ever questioned her like this again, she'd be filing for divorce.
This doesn't always work, and it's obviously reductive, but this is a classic scenario. If you swap the gender roles, you would immediately be calling the police.
Yeah.
Am I the asshole for refusing to share my special recipe with my cousin who wants to use it for her business? If you created this recipe, no. It's your property. You don't have to share it with anybody, regardless of what their reasoning is. So here's the deal. I, 18 female, have this amazing dessert recipe that I came up with after months of experimenting in the kitchen. It's a unique twist on a classic treat, and everyone who tries it says that it's incredible. My family always asks me to make it for gatherings, and honestly, I take a lot of pride in how much people love it. You should. You should. Like you said, you experimented for months, meaning some of these didn't come out so great. Be proud. Recently, my cousin Jess, 24 female, started a small baking business from home. She's been doing pretty well, and I'm really happy for her. Last week at a family dinner, Jess pulled me aside and asked if I'd give her my dessert recipe so she could add it to her menu. Are you going to be getting a portion of the money she's going to make from all of this? Or is it going to be, well, since I made it, it's just mine? Because, girl, no. Can I have your recipe so I can make money off of it? No, ma'am. Call me stingy, call me fucking selfish, but no, you can't. This is mine. I was flattered at first, but then I told her I wasn't comfortable sharing it because it was really personal to me. It's my thing, you know? Jess didn't take that well. She said I was being selfish and that it's not like I'm starting a business or anything. So why would I hoard the recipe? Because you created it. Because it's yours. It belongs to you. That's why you would hoard it. Why would you expect me to just give you something simply because I'm not starting a business with it? Jess, go touch some grass. Fucking immediately. Immediately. She even got my aunt, her mom, involved, who called me later and said that I should support family and not be so stingy. I explained that I wasn't trying to be mean, but I worked really hard to create that recipe, and it's something that I'm proud of. Now half of my family is calling me petty. The other half is staying out of it. Jess posted a vague rant on Facebook about people gatekeeping creativity. Gatekeeping creativity. I can't believe people nowadays are so fucking selfish to want to keep the things that they create to themselves. Bitch, yeah. Fucking yeah. Not everything has to be shared with you, you entitled bitch. She also posted about how it's impossible to get ahead with unsupportive people. My mom says I should just give her the recipe to keep the peace, but I don't think that I'm in the wrong here. So am I the asshole? Absolutely not. You're absolutely not the asshole. Your cousin is being fucking selfish. She knows how much attention you get because of this recipe. She knows just how good it is and she wants to profit off of it. Never once did she ask you if she could buy it from you or if you would be willing to split it with her? Nothing. Can I add your recipe to my menu? That way I can make money off of something that you created. And because you're not willing to let me do that, you are being so selfish, stingy, and unsupportive. If this was the music business, no one in their fucking right mind would ask to use your shit without offering you a piece of the pie. If this was any other type of fucking business, they would be offering you part of the profits. She's just trying to take it all for herself and upset that you're not allowing her to take advantage of you. Baby, you're not the asshole. You're not the asshole. And fuck keeping the peace. There is no peace. Jess decided to disturb the peace. You do not have to give her anything that belongs to you simply because she wants it. Your mom needs to get that shit together. You're not wrong, baby. Do not give up your recipe. You worked hard for this. For months. Don't give it up.
My sister disowned me because my husband said, "Your body, my choice," during a heated argument. My sister has been my best friend for my entire life. Last night, we went to my sister's house for a few drinks and snacks, something we do often. We were all so drunk, so we inevitably started talking politics. Things got heated, and my husband ended up saying, "Your body, my choice."
That's disgusting.
To her as a joke.
The implication behind that is so gross.
I had seen the joke circulating online, so I knew what he was referencing and laughed. My husband and I are both pro-choice, and it was just a joke.
No, we're pro-choice, just not your choice specifically.
I tried calming her down by saying he was just joking, but she wouldn't listen. She asked me if I was okay with what he said, and I said yes because he was only joking. He has dark humor, so he often says shocking things for laughs.
Yes.
She ended up physically pushing us out of her house and slammed the door in our faces. By the time we were home, I had received a long text from my sister. She said she never wants to see me or my husband again because of the joke that he made. She said she will never feel safe in my husband's presence ever again, and that she will never see me the same. This is the first time my husband has ever said a joke like that to her, so she has no reason to feel unsafe around him.
I mean, we heard what he said.
I think she misunderstood the joke and thought he was threatening violence when he was just making an abortion joke.
The most charitable read is that he's saying, "I'm choosing that you can't get an abortion." The more potential read is that he was joking about sexually assaulting her.
Yep.
Am I wrong for hiding my child's saving account from my ex and not letting him contribute? My ex and I divorced 8 years ago. We have a 12-year-old son together. We don't discuss finances other than child support. I don't care for any money he may or may not have to give our child directly. Years ago, I opened a savings account for my kid. I religiously transfer a set amount and child benefits into it every single month. I also put some loose change in there whenever I can. My kid knows of this account and gets to decide if any monetary gifts from family and friends are to be spent immediately or added to his growing savings. He doesn't keep tabs on the account, but has a rough idea of how much he gets every month and how much he's got already. My son must have told my ex about the account because my ex approached me about it. He asked to see the account. I refused. He asked to at least know the exact amount. He has a rough idea. I refused. I don't see the point. He asked to contribute and become a co-owner, as in the account is to be from mom and dad. I asked if he'd like to make a big initial payment. He doesn't, as he doesn't have that kind of money to just throw into an account nobody can access for years. He just wants to join in now and throw in some cash here and there, but the amount that's already in there is to be overlooked. I refused. He told me that I can only afford that thanks to his child support contributions. I told him that the child support is his duty and is spent on our son's current needs, not for him to hold it over my head. He called me a jerk for not telling him about the account when I first opened it because now he's 8 years behind and won't be able to match it, and it will look bad when my kid grows up and only gets my support. I told him that it's up to him whether or not he'd invest in our child's future. He still has a long time to save something if he so wishes. He told me I was a jerk for purposefully making him look like a bad dad for not having thought of something like this. I don't think it's fair of him to ask to jump in and claim to have contributed to the savings I've worked hard on for years. But now I wonder if I actually act like an asshole for creating a situation in which I look like the better and more caring parent. Should I have told him about it when I first opened the account? Should I just let him contribute to keep the peace? The money is going to end up in my son's account anyway, no matter if he receives payments from 2 savings accounts or just 1. I thought I'd add, since this concern has already been raised a few times in the comments, it's an ISA nobody can withdraw money from until my child's 18th birthday, though I'm not sure he knows that, so I'm not too worried about any potential theft. It's more of a power play issue. not the asshole. Absolutely not. I don't think you did anything wrong. Once you're divorced, what I do with my money has absolutely nothing to do with you. If I'm deciding that I want to put money away for my child and save for a better future, he just sounds so butthurt that he did not think of the idea first. This sounds like an ego problem. This is about your ex's ego and control and inventing the drama to lay a guilt trip on you while making it all about him and this lost opportunity to show his benevolence. This is just funny. If he really wanted to save for your son's future, he had 8 years to do it. You don't need another person to tell you that. That just shows he was just aloof. Why were you not thinking about your son's future? You just didn't care enough to think about it. And she did. Why should she share that with you? Get out of here with that.
Am I the asshole? I asked my sister to make me a hand-knitted blanket, and it's ugly. About a month ago, I asked my sister to make me a hand-knitted blanket. I always wanted one just to have to go on the back of my sofa or my bed. So she said she'd love to make one. So after a while, the blanket was complete. Her and the elderly lady she works for made this blanket, and the colors were going to be a surprise to me. I literally had showed my sister a picture on the internet, though, of colors that I wanted to see in the blanket. So the day finally comes where I get to open the box that she had wrapped, and it was supposed to be a surprise. So I opened it, and my first reaction was I loved it. It was super soft, and it was extremely heavy because the blanket is 10 feet, 7 inches long by 5 feet wide. But it's extremely ugly. It's got a dark hunter green fabric and yellow, red, white, and green threads. She told me that her little old lady picked out all the colors from Hobby Lobby, which my sister knows I fucking hate when she supports those homophobic companies. After seeing how big the blanket was, I told her I could probably sell it for $250. It's so huge. I didn't know what to do with it otherwise. So she said, yeah, go ahead and sell it if you want. So I posted it on Facebook Marketplace. For 2 weeks, not a single person messaged me to buy this blanket. I marked it down to $100 for 1 week. Again, not a single person messaged me to buy this blanket. It is ugly, and I am not exaggerating. I will attach a picture in the comment section below. So I told my sister the other day, not a single person has messaged me to buy this blanket off of Facebook. And so I was going to package it up and mail it off to my cousin. My sister suggested that I should just throw it away. And I said, what? Are you crazy? And because my cousin lives in Louisiana, she went off and said she literally lives in the hottest fucking place. Why would she need a blanket? And I said, did you not see the comment she posted on Facebook when I posted the blanket? She said, well, I'm glad you had one made for you. And since I'm not going to use it, I thought I would just pass it along to somebody who would use it. So, am I the asshole?
Is it that ugly?
No.
Oh, wait, this is gonna make me sad.
It is beautiful.
I'm pissed off. This bitch is insane. Yes, you're the asshole. Back it up. You are the fucking asshole.
Am I the asshole for telling my wife we are making our daughter, not just her? She is 7 months along, and we got an ultrasound yesterday to check on the progress. During the appointment, the tech was pointing out our daughter's different body parts, telling us where her legs and feet are. It was the first time we didn't really need the help because we could see our baby looking like a real baby. My wife started crying and I was comforting her when she said the words, I can't believe I'm making a human being.
Oh no, this is kind of crazy. I thought it was going to be like you doing like a we thing. I didn't know it was a you correcting her thing. Classic dude fumble about to happen. I kept comforting her, but I waited a few minutes, and once the tech was gone, gently reminded her that we're both the parents, not just her. I also told her that saying she's making the baby on her own is not accurate, since I provided half of the genetic material. I had to dump a loop in you, babe. Come on. You know how much work that is?
She started crying again, thinking I don't appreciate what she's putting her body through to be pregnant. Obviously, this is false, especially since her pregnancy has been so tough that I've attended at least 2 doctor's appointments every month.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. Got her ass.
Still, okay.
I just don't think it's fair to claim I haven't contributed something to making our daughter. She's still upset the next day, so am I the
brother?
My roommate thinks it's funny to trigger my Tourette's to say the N-word.
Boo.
My roommate, 30s male, and I, 26 female, are both white. My roommate thinks the N-word is just the most hilarious thing ever. He thinks it's even funnier to trigger my disability in a way that forces me to say a racial slur that I don't want to say. I have repeatedly told him that 1, I don't want to say the N-word regardless of if it's voluntary or not, and 2, the more I tick the N-word, the more often it will happen randomly, and the more difficult it is to suppress it in public. I cannot seem to explain to him that ticking the N-word in public can actually put me in serious danger. Not everyone wants to hear I have Tourette's after I tick something offensive, especially when it comes to racial slurs. I don't know what to do at this point other than just avoid him and move out when the lease ends.
So what a bad person.
Yeah.
Like, you're literally taking advantage of somebody who has a disability that they cannot control.
Also, to be like, he thinks it's funny when he says it too. It's like, a bad guy.
Yeah, no.
Bad guy all around.
Am I wrong for making my husband care for our baby while he has a headache? My husband and I have been together for 7 years and have a child together now. He's about as challenging as you'd expect a 1-year-old to be, but he's easy to play with, eats well, and he sleeps well. My husband and I both work full time. He works at home and I work for a nonprofit. Our son goes to daycare during the day. While we're all at home, I generally do all of the cooking, cleaning, childcare, as well as waking up with the baby. I occasionally ask for help with on and off success. Frequently, he is too busy or he just doesn't want to. Specifically when it comes to cooking. Either all of that or he's out of town. Recently, he even took a 3-week boys trip. I am currently in the final stages of applying for a job within the government. I've worked my butt off from freshman year in university to have this job, and I'm taking it extremely serious. My next assignment is an essay that I had less than 48 hours notice for. I am not a quick writer, nor is this my strong suit, so I was hoping to get it done tonight. That way, if I needed more time, I could work on it tomorrow or the day after. So I went to let him know that I would be leaving our son with him while I went to the library to go work on this. Because I know if I work on this at home, the baby's going to get sent into the room while I'm working. Well, he said no, that he had a headache and he needed to rest. He didn't sleep well and he had work today. I let him know that this was extremely important to me and that I didn't want to rush. Well, he ignored me. I let him know again that I was leaving. He's upset with me that he's feeling awful and that I'm still putting the work on him. I've prepped dinner. Our baby literally just needs to be fed, supervised, and then put to bed. I honestly don't even care if they just veg out and watch Bluey. But he says he's still sick. Am I wrong to insist on going?
So, with that being said, she does have an update. Firstly, I want to thank everybody in my prior post. I have a tendency to overthink and it makes decisions like this incredibly hard. A lot has happened in the past 10 days, so I'll just give the events in order of happening. 2 days after my post went up, Margot's car got egged. She and 2 of her neighbors caught the perpetrators on camera, and 2 of Annie's flying monkeys were taken into custody. And boy, were these girls rats. They sold out Annie in a heartbeat. I almost pitied the poor girl until I came out of work and found the words, "You deserved your miscarriage," spray painted on my car hood.
What did I tell you? She deserves this.
Info. I suffered a miscarriage at the beginning of the year after one of my students, I work in a behavioral school, kicked me down the stairwell. I've been trying to help another teacher and there was a security guard also present, but the kid just kicked my shin and nobody caught me in time. I was 6 months along when it happened and suffered it while at work. It was a whole scene with ambulances, admin staff, district staff. Meanwhile, I was just bleeding and crying. I was given PTO for 2 weeks, and by the time I returned to work, everybody knew. I got plenty of soft looks. Everybody made my food and tried to make me feel better, even the ladies who didn't like me. I was just thankful summer vacation was coming up. I took photos of the vandalism and presented it to my boss, since the paint was still wet, which means there should be camera evidence. They told me to sit tight and they would take care of it. After 30 minutes, my boss, one of the coworkers who didn't like me, and 2 security officers came back. Turns out the coworker who didn't like me had fed Annie that information and was promptly fired on the spot after being forced to apologize to me. They also had security look through the parking lot footage and got the license plate of Annie's car screeching out of the parking lot with her tossing a can of spray paint out the window and denting another car in the process. Police were called and the spray can was taken as evidence. I was advised to get a lawyer and press charges. At this point, I decided to talk to a lawyer. When I got home, I consulted with one the next day via a virtual consultation. He offered to do the case pro bono as he had a bone to pick with Annie's mother. Not my business to tell, but whoa, was that story crazier than mine. What? No, I want the lawyer to say his side! We drafted all evidence into a compiled document and went through with pressing the charges for the damage to my car, as well as harassment and emotional distress. Let me tell y'all, I was expecting there to be a blowout when this happened, but karma ate her up. Apparently, Annie has more than just what she did to me. The coworker whose car she dented when she threw out the spray can was pressing charges. Margot was also pressing charges for emotional distress. Also turns out, she had been going after my brothers. She and her flying monkeys were review bombing Kyle's shop, and they slashed 3 tires on Rob's mobile home. She had been sending complaints to Owen's boss through customer service lines, and she had stolen Jack's fence surrounding his house. Who the fuck steals a fence? Apparently, the mounting charges finally caught Daddy's attention because he had everybody who was pressing charges come to one of his properties to talk it out. He had paid her bail and was keeping her in close proximity to assure she didn't get into more mischief. Margot said she would be bringing her lawyer and advised everybody else to do the same. So it was actually pretty funny watching Annie's face as we all pulled up with our lawyers, with the exception of Finn, who was just coming as a character witness and had a file of evidence all on his own. She had been harassing him and blackmailing him and was ready to feed these absolutely damning evidences to the pack of lawyers who were attending. It's worth to note that I had not gotten the spray paint removed, so when Annie's father saw it, you could see the boiling, quiet rage in his glare. Annie's father, who I will dub Hunter, also had his lawyer present. The sit-down lasted 2 days, with all of the lawyers going over the different charges and appropriate ways to punish them. My coworker was simply paid out, with some extra financial compensation and a few coupons from Hunter's business. Jack was returned his fence, and Hunter paid to have it reinstalled, repainted, and for a 10-year warranty. All the false reviews were removed from Kyle's shop, and Hunter paid for any lost revenue. Hunter also contacted Owen's boss, who he apparently went to school with, and set the record straight. Hunter also decided to pay for Trish and Owen's honeymoon as excess compensation. Damn, Annie's parents got money! That's why she feels so entitled. That just left Margot, Rob, and I. The lawyers, us 3, and Hunter agreed to accumulate the charges into one case, and Hunter was able to wrangle the district attorney to come and try to strike a plea deal. I can't say much about that since the case is still ongoing, but just know that Annie will be paying for her crimes. Hunter offered to get me a new car. I had been driving the same car for 10 years, and I told him I'd settle for a used one. Hunter made a fuss by saying, I didn't raise my daughter like this. This is all her mother. Like, wow, this woman must be a demon if even her own husband throws her under the bus like that. So Hunter is taking me car shopping. Wifey is apparently pissed that Hunter isn't covering for their little princess, and Annie is getting her just desserts. Funny how money is indeed a very powerful thing, as Hunter even got the case to be moved to priority list, and thus proceedings will be sped up. To top everything off, Hunter said all the payouts will be coming from Annie's inheritance, which is why he was okay with giving out so much excess compensation. God, Annie's face. I wish I could have photographed him. I have no issues updating once the proceedings are finished. I will make sure to keep a spare tab open just so I don't lose this throwaway account. It seems to be a pretty happy end for me. I didn't expect it to be solved in under 10 days, but Hunter is a very nice man. Maybe the Gen Z shouldn't eat this rich, he's a good one. He even invited Mark, Trish, and Ro out for drinks to discuss compensation for the scene at dinner too. Right now, I'm just relaxing on my sofa while Mark makes popcorn. We're about to binge some cartoons. We like spending our Sundays like that. I will be back one last time after the court proceedings, and maybe another if my lawyer gives me permission to tell his story about Annie's mom.
My ex-boyfriend cheated and stole from me, so this is what I did. So my ex and I, we dated for about a year, and during that relationship, he was jobless, so I was basically the one that provided for him, but he was constantly saying that he was going to find a job, and that it was just a matter of time until he could, like, pay everything back to me, because he always had the conversation of, like, oh, because I paid for everything, so he was like, oh, just wait until I get a job, because when I get a job, I'm going to be able to pay you back for everything, because crazy. He's like, I cannot imagine, like, a girl paying for a guy, so you're paying everything right now, but he took note of everything, by the way, so he made it seem like it was actually real, like, his promise of paying me back was actually real, because All in all, his whole speech with him on the internet to his friends was, a man should always pay, like a man has to provide everything, all of these things. But in reality, no one knew, but I was the one that was paying for everything. So we break up. Okay, that's fine. That's not fine. He cheats, blah, blah, blah. This whole thing. And then when we're talking about, I'm going to spare you the details on how the cheating went. I'm just gonna say what I did because he had the note, and I we shared the note of the stuff that he owed me for all the times that I paid for our stuff that he claimed like he didn't want me to pay, that he was gonna pay me back once he had a job. And so that was one of the first things I told him when I found out he cheated on me. I was like, okay, so now we're gonna break up, but you're gonna pay me back. All of that talk that you have online to your friends, to our mutual friends about like how the man should provide for everything. Now it's the time. Now it's the time for you to man up and do what you've been telling everybody that you do. I mean, so this was when I found out he cheated on me. So he was obviously like trying to win me over and being like, yes, I'll pay for everything. I'll get a job, I'll pay for everything. So that he could get me back. Obviously, that was not gonna work. I think what killed me and what made me be like, you are going to pay me back and I'm going to embarrass you like in front of every person that we know because he started dating the girl that he cheated on me with. So I decided I was going to terrorize this man's life. I was like, okay, now you owe me money and you're with the girl that you cheated on me with after spending all this time trying to get me back. You're with the girl. I'm going to terrorize your life. So what I did was clearly was filter breach because it was a lot of money. By the way, it was a lot of money, and I'm not rich, so it was a lot of money. And then I was enraged because he was with the girl, so I would set up alarms at night. In the middle of the night, I would set up alarms so that I would wake up and that I would call him. Privately, I bought a phone, like those very old phones that are like 30 euros. Bought one of those, and I would wake up in the middle of the night. I put like 8 alarms to wake up in the middle of the night to call him privately. He didn't know it was me. Maybe he did, but like he never reached out to me. Because privately, like on my private number, I had him blocked. I would call until he would disconnect his phone. I would see when he would like finally give in and disconnect his phone for the night. So that's when I was like, okay, tomorrow, another night tomorrow. Go to part 2 to find out more of the ways that I decided I was going to terrorize this cheater and thief.
My boyfriend broke into my house and ruined my childhood teddy. Am I the asshole for overreacting? Story time. So me and my boyfriend are definitely that couple that you just like roll your eyes at. We honestly have so much love for each other, but if I'm being honest, we really aren't right for each other. Which is very toxic, we're on and off, and we love making each other jealous. Now the main issue here is that my boyfriend, let's call him Mark, takes it way too far. And I'm not on about sleeping with other people. He actually doesn't do that. He's just extremely aggressive. Now about a year ago, I moved out, and honestly, I thought I was going to go no contact with Mark. I just kind of thought it was a new start and a time to stop that childness. As you can guess, that kind of lasted maybe a month at most. Now, Mark seems to never know when he takes it too far. He's literally turned on my family before. He has gone for my mum, and I didn't speak to him for at least 2 weeks after that. Basically, this is what I mean by you'll just roll your eyes at our sort of relationship. Anyway, I decided to finally book my first ever girls trip. I hadn't gone on one because of Mark, believe it or not. I realised we're kind of getting to the age where we won't have them anymore, so I wanted to go on kind of the last one before that all starts to happen. I was having the time of my life until my Ring camera alerted me that someone was at my door, and that someone was Mark. Now, I knew Mark was up to something because he was wearing all black. Like literally something from a movie. He wasn't in my house for very long. He literally maybe took 2 minutes. Honestly, he did the most creepy thing. He walked outside of the door, looked directly into the Ring camera, and this man ruined my childhood teddy. Literally got some scissors, and you can imagine the next things he did. I was so angry. Like, this idea I've had since I was born. Like, it was so special to me. Honestly, I would rather him have like taken a bunch of stuff from my house than ruin this teddy. I had no idea what to do, so I just called the police. I didn't respond to him on the Ring. I made sure to save the clip, and I just explained to him the whole situation. I said I had no idea what to do. Now, fast forward a few months, he's actually currently in prison. Done for theft and destruction of private property. And then he also paid me thousands and thousands of dollars. Basically, I had to try and prove what this teddy was worth. Obviously, it was only worth like $20. But to me, emotionally, it was worth way, way more. Court ruled it. I was not expecting this outcome.
Do I deserve a shower even though I'm not a real mom? My husband and I have been together for 8 years and married for 5. We have been trying for children since we got married and have been struggling with infertility. And after lots of therapy and private discussions, we decided to become foster parents. I've done all of the checks and all of the training, and we're officially licensed. Now, our families have not been very warm to this idea. His family wanted us to have biological kids. A sibling of mine is worried that we're gonna bring troubled kids around her kids. But our friends have been so supportive and excited for us. One friend wanted to host something akin to a baby shower to help us with things we would need to help foster. You know, like clothes, toys, books, bedding, things like that. But really just to celebrate this next chapter of our lives. Anyways, invitations were sent out and we were met with so much backlash from both sides of our family. They said things like, I'm not having a baby, so I shouldn't be having a shower. And if I couldn't afford to foster, then I shouldn't be doing it. Some even said I wasn't a real mother and I shouldn't be so selfish as to expect a shower. My husband and I can more than afford to foster, and I wasn't expecting anything, honestly. This was just something nice a friend of mine wanted to plan. So was I wrong for wanting to have a nice shower even though I'm not a real mom?
Am I in the wrong for making my entire office jealous after they forgot to include me in the group lunch order again? I, 27 female, have been dealing with a petty but annoying situation at my office. Every Wednesday, someone collects orders for this amazing local pizza place that doesn't deliver. They make the best pizzas in town. Wood-fired, fresh ingredients, the works. The catch is, they require a minimum of 5 pizzas for a takeout order. For the past 3 months, I keep getting forgotten when they take orders. It started when I had to change my lunch hour to 1 p.m. instead of noon because of project meeting. Every week, I put my order in their shared Excel sheet, and every week somehow they ordered just before I added it or didn't see my entry. Here's the kicker. I literally sit right next to Kevin, 31 male, who collects the money and places the order. He has to physically turn his back to me to avoid seeing me. Last Wednesday was the last straw. I heard them all planning the order, watched Kevin collect the money, and my name was definitely on that spreadsheet. Yet somehow, when the food arrived, no pizza for me. Kevin's response? Oh, sorry, must have missed your name again. We already hit the minimum order though. So today, I decided to be petty. I called the pizza place first thing in the morning and spoke to the owner, explained the situation and asked if I could place a single order for pickup if I paid a little extra. He laughed and said he liked my style and agreed. When everyone's pizza arrived at 12, I waited. Then, at 12:55, right before my lunch, I walked in with a pizza that smelled divine. The owner had made me a special off-menu item with truffle oil, prosciutto, and buffalo mozzarella. The entire office could smell it. Suddenly, everyone was asking where I got it, since they thought this place had a 5 pizza minimum. I just smiled and said, oh, I have an arrangement with the owner now. By the way, he says hi, Kevin. Now, half of the office is mad that I went behind their backs to get special treatment, and the other half is mad at Kevin for excluding me all this time. Kevin is especially angry because apparently some people have now asked him to be removed from the order coordinator role. My pizza was delicious, but there's definitely tension in the office now. Worth noting that 3 people have already asked for my pizza connection for their own orders. Am I in the wrong for escalating a petty pizza situation?
Storytime about how I sat terrified in my friend's car for over 3 hours because of my dad. Since mid-2013, my parents have not been together. They were only ever boyfriend and girlfriend, but it was really hard. Up until early last year, my family and I were in and out of courtrooms. This story took place in 2019. At my old school, my deputy principal had called me down to the office towards the end of the day. Call her Miss Smith. Miss Smith took me into her office, which had a window facing the front gate of the school. Our school was on a slope and on the main road, so you could see the cars that were parked there and some of the people who stood there. As I was sat there while she was talking to me, I look out the window and I see my dad. I internally start to freak out because I hadn't visited my dad's house for about a year because I didn't want to visit anymore. It was a really abusive and toxic situation that I can make several stories about. A few minutes later, she calls him and tells him to come inside. I don't remember much of the conversation, but the 3 of us ended up going out into the foyer of the office. She tried to force me to go with him even though she had no legal power to do so. I headed towards the door. She tried to grab me and stop me, but I slipped past her. I ran to the other side of the school and dashed out the back gate. This gate went through the school oval, the public oval behind our school, and down to a little shopping centre. Come back for part 2. So I was running away, absolutely terrified. When this happened, I was 12 years old and I was still very scared of him. He was chasing me all the way down. I managed to get to the shopping centre and he was still a little bit behind me, so I ran into IGA and then I went into the back of the corner near the registers. He was stood at the opening of the shop just staring at me. I called my friend Zara in a panic. She knew about the situation with my dad and I didn't know who else to call. She lived a couple streets away from where the shops were, so I called her to come get me. She, her mum and her 5-year-old brother came and got me. We sat parked outside the shop for 3 hours. The reason why we didn't leave is because my dad had taken pictures of her mum's license plate and was threatening to call the police and to get her in trouble. So the 4 of us sat in the car while he stood outside of the car for 3 hours. One of my friends even came to try rescue me because my friend Zara had told her about it because we were that scared. Long story short, we ended up going to the police station and my dad got escorted out by the police officers a few hours later because he was getting aggressive with the police. The next day the 4 of us were back at the station and the police tried to drag me to go stay with him even though I didn't want to. I'm glad it's over.
Get ready with me and I'll tell you the story about how my boyfriend just cheated on me. So he says the way the kiss happened was because she jumped him in the taxi. And I mean, I don't know, probably because she went and showed up at his work, so she was probably really desperate. I mean, you can tell by now that she's really, really desperate. So she jumped him in the taxi and kissed him, and he kissed her back. That's what he told me. So then the taxi got to her place first, and he got out, and they decided, he basically told me that he was thinking, I've already fucked up, so, might as well just continue to kiss her and to cheat on me. So they were kissing in her parked. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I said this, but she had a baby. So they had to go to her parked car in front of her house. I guess it wasn't really in front of their house because, I don't think she'd be that stupid to risk that much. But they didn't go to her place because she had a baby, her baby, and her boyfriend. I don't know if they're married. They probably aren't married, but they were at home. So he says they didn't do anything appropriate. She was touching him, but he wasn't comfortable, so they just kissed. He is persistent on the fact that they didn't do anything else. And he even said that he was not, hard. I don't know if I can say this on TikTok, but he says he wasn't because he was just thinking about me. Clearly not, because if he was thinking about me, he wouldn't have done this in the first place. So he says that she tried to do something else with him, but he just refused, and he keeps telling me this. And so he says that after a while of just kissing, he just decides to leave and she goes home.
I can't believe I found this on my mother-in-law's bed. Story time. Okay, so my mother-in-law had to come and stay with me and my boyfriend. Her husband was out of town, didn't really want to stay on our own. Totally fine, we got on well. Now, one thing that is just so funny about my in-laws is they are active. They are so crazy. They go to certain clubs and certain hotels, and they are just a very open couple. And it's just so funny because they obviously have this side to them. However, when they are with our children, they're just the best grandparents ever. Anyway, a few nights into her staying at our house, me and my husband one night woke up and we swear to God, we could hear this vibrating noise coming from her room. So we have a very, very loud house. I live in quite an old cottage, so we're very used to hearing these random noises. And we've just had new radiators installed. So we did think maybe they're playing up a little bit. Wish that was the case. Anyway, of course, we left this alone and didn't say anything because it was just going to be a bit of an awkward conversation. Anyway, a few more nights went by. My mother-in-law actually went out with her friends this night, so I decided to change her bedding for her and just give her room a little bit of a clean. As I said, we get on really, really well, so I wanted to make her feel as comfortable as possible while she was here. And I wish I didn't, because what I walked into, not okay. I walked into her room, going to be nice and wholesome, God, and I see an item on her bed. Not just one item, but 4. Now, obviously, I cannot say what these items were, but she obviously used them by herself. And that noise was not a radiator. It was exactly what we thought it was. Obviously traumatized. We're very traumatized. I'm not even surprised. I'm generally not even surprised that she did this in my house, to be honest with you.
Am I wrong for not taking back the money that I contributed to my sister's wedding 8 years ago? Okay, so as obviously the intro suggests, 8 years ago, I gifted my sister $40,000 for her wedding. It was a gift from me. And although I understand it's a big gift, that's exactly what it was, a gift. I just wanted her to have a great wedding, and I didn't want money to be a problem for her. I made it clear multiple times to my sister that I did not want any type of repayment. I just wanted her to have a special day. Since we were kids, my sister always dreamed of having a picturesque wedding. My husband, understandably, was not a big fan of me giving her that much money as a gift, but the money ultimately came out of my individual account. So I had the final say in it. My sister and her ex-fiance finalized their divorce proceedings last month, and my husband has been asking my sister for repayment because their marriage did not pan out. I let my husband know that their marriage not panning out was irrelevant to my gift. My gift was for my sister to have her dream wedding, and her wedding was great. How their marriage panned out later is irrelevant. Financially, we're very comfortable. We have absolutely zero needs for that $40,000 back. So am I wrong?
Am I in the wrong for not wanting my disabled cousin at my wedding? I, 26 female, am getting married soon to my amazing fiance, Liam, 30 male, and I'm struggling with whether or not to invite my cousin, Tom, 29 male. Tom has a developmental disability, and while he's almost 30, he has the intellectual capacity of a 7-year-old. I've always tried to be patient and understanding, but he has consistently crossed physical boundaries with me in ways that make me feel really uncomfortable. I have always been an early bloomer, and I have a much larger than average chest, and because of all the sports I did in high school, and that continue to this day, I would like to say I look good. I only say this because it's the main reason that my family uses to justify Tom's behavior. Over the years, Tom has touched my chest and butt quite a few times. He's also hugged me tight and tried to kiss me, and even though I immediately told him to stop each time, it never seems to stick. He also tells all of his caretakers, nurses, and live-in caregivers that I'm his girlfriend. He also doesn't like Liam because he insists that Liam isn't my fiance boyfriend because he's my boyfriend. Tom talks about how he will marry me. It kind of feels like when a little kid tells their parent they're going to marry them, but it's still very uncomfortable. I've brought it up with the family, but they always downplay it, saying Tom doesn't understand and that he's just showing affection. The excuse used most often is, he's a little boy in a man's body, and you're a conventionally attractive woman. When I told my mom how uncomfortable it makes me, she said I probably entertained his behavior too much and that he's harmless. She insists I should just be firm, but anytime I've tried, the family accuses me of being mean to him. With my wedding coming up, I want the day to be relaxed and special without constantly worrying about Tom overstepping boundaries. When I told my family that I was considering not inviting him, they were outraged. They said I was being unfair, cruel, and that he'd be devastated not to come. My mom even said it would ruin his day and make it obvious that he's different, which she thinks is heartless. I get that Tom can't help certain behaviors, but I feel like my family has completely ignored my feelings in this. They always brush off my discomfort and say it's my responsibility to manage it or that he doesn't know any better, but it's my wedding, and I don't want to be on edge the whole time. Liam says I have every right to not invite him, especially because of how he treats both of us like our relationship isn't real. Still, I wonder if I'm being too harsh or unkind since Tom isn't fully aware of boundaries and doesn't really know what he's doing is bad or harmful, especially because his parents and other family members encourage it. So...
My fiance proposed with a fake diamond and I am not letting him get away with it. When my fiance and I first started talking about getting engaged, I made it very clear I wanted a lab-grown diamond. Okay, I am an economical girly. I did not need him to spend an extreme amount of money on a ring. Didn't really make any sense to me. He was actually the one that was really against this. He kept being like, no, I only want the best for you. I was like, they're literally the same thing. Actually, scientifically, to their core, they're the same. Why are we gonna spend so much money on a ring? I don't really understand. I'd rather spend that money on the wedding. And looking back now, this is absolutely absurd. He kept saying that he wasn't gonna get me a fake ring. He was referring to a lab-grown diamond as a fake diamond. He's like, I'm not getting you a fake diamond ring. It's not fake, okay? A lab-grown diamond is not fake. What he ended up getting me is fake, but we'll get to that part. The day of the proposal comes, it's beautiful. I'll give him that. He did a good job. He gets down on one knee, pulls out a Cartier box. Now, I know Cartier is not doing lab-grown diamonds, okay? And, I mean, the ring was beautiful. He opens it. It's ginormous. I'm like, I don't even know how that thing's gonna fit on my finger, to be honest with you. After the initial excitement of the engagement wore off, I was like, babe, I don't really think this is a lab-grown diamond. I don't think Cartier does that. And he was like, why would I do that? Only the best for you. And I was like, I just don't think this is a sound financial decision. I made it kind of clear I wanted a lab-grown diamond. Like, I appreciate what you did. Very sweet, very kind, but kind of made it clear what I wanted. Anyway, didn't listen to me. To be honest with you, it also wasn't really my style. I wanted something super simple, and the ring was the most extra looking thing I've ever seen. Like, I could poke somebody's eye out with it. I don't really understand where he thought that would be the ring I would want, but whatever, each their own. After the engagement, my fiance took me to a restaurant where all of our friends and family were, which was actually really cute. Good job on him for that one. At some point, I get up because I have to go to the bathroom, and as I'm walking there, I overhear my fiance's two best friends talking in the hallway. And they're whispering to each other, and they sound, I don't know, kind of stressed. It sounds very sus, so obviously I have to eavesdrop. It's my engagement party. I'm allowed to eavesdrop if I want. I overhear these men say, I don't understand how he makes so much money, but he still got his fiance a fake engagement ring. Now, I'm thinking in my head, they're talking about a lab-grown diamond, which, again, I don't think it's fake. But I'm like, why would he lie? Like, why would he pretend he got me a mine diamond rather than a lab-grown diamond when I wanted a lab-grown diamond? Like, I don't get it. And then they say, it's also so weird that he just bought a Cartier box off of eBay. I keep my mouth shut. I don't say a word, and I just go back to my engagement party. But the very next day, I went right to my jewelry store. And it turns out, no, he did not get me a lab-grown diamond. He got me costume jewelry. Didn't even get me a lab-grown, nope. Literally a fake diamond. This man was debating me on lab-grown diamonds when the whole time he was planning to just get me costume jewelry. Are you actually kidding me? Are you kidding me? And if y'all think I am letting this man get away with it, you're crazy. My revenge plot is gonna make this man wish he just bought me the Cartier ring to begin with.
Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend if he doesn't propose before the end of this year, I will start planning my future without him? I, 36 female, have been with my boyfriend, 36 male, for 5 years. When we started dating, I expressed to him that I wanted us to grow together and I was dating to marry. He said he was more slow-paced with everything that he does, and if we made it to 5 years together, he'd feel more comfortable proposing. We talked about this throughout the relationship, so this was well established, and we both agreed, even though 5 years seemed a bit too long for me, I was understanding of him because of his last relationship. It had ended 2 years before we met, but he bought a ring and the girl dumped him. Fast forward to now, we've been together all these years, and in that time, we've had a child together, yet he still never proposed. I brought it up earlier this year how this is our 5th year together, and I would really like for us to take the next step forward in our commitment and get engaged by the end of the year, our anniversary. He started telling me how he doesn't see the point and how he doesn't believe in marriage anymore because it's just a piece of paper and there's no need to get the government involved. Girl, nah. Nope, you're absolutely not the asshole. I would have given this man an ultimatum too. Look, because you already know what it was that we agreed to. 5 years ago, we had this conversation for the first time, and I told you what it was that I wanted. You agreed it just took you a little bit more time to get there, and I was okay with that. You delayed what you wanted so that he had more time to be confident and satisfied in your relationship. But now, all of a sudden, he doesn't believe in marriage anymore. Girl, no, tell that man, if you don't want to marry me, step to the side. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. My boyfriend will not stop me from meeting my husband. If you don't want to marry me, move over because you're blocking his fucking way. I told my boyfriend that wasn't the point, and this was about an expression of our devotion to one another and solidifying ourselves as a family. I offered to do a different type of ceremony where we didn't even have to involve the government because this is not about that to me. He kept making excuses, and I asked him where does he want to be in the next couple of years. He said he just thinks about day to day. Day to day? Sir, you have a child. I'm gonna need you to polish your eye and look years into the fucking future and fucking plan. What do you mean day to day? No. Girl, nah. Hell nah. I told him if he doesn't get it together and propose by the end of the year that I will have to reevaluate his role in my life and make future plans that don't include him, since he's showing me he doesn't want to be included. He said that I'm an asshole for forcing him to propose and that he doesn't want to. Well, there's your answer. And baby, no, I ain't nobody forcing you to do shit. I'm letting you know, if this is not what you want anymore, do not be upset when I stick to my original plans and move on without you. That's it. That's all. I told him that's fine, and he doesn't have to, but that I also don't have to sit around waiting for him and wasting my time on someone that doesn't want to grow old with me, doesn't want to build a life, a marriage, and a family together. So am I the asshole? Edit. When we first had to talk about marriage in the beginning of our relationship, he expressed wanting to be married and wanting to take his time to be sure we'd last because he didn't want to be left eventually if things didn't work out. He would bring up marriage and buying a house fairly often over the years. It's only now that he's done a complete 180, saying he doesn't believe in marriage. No, baby, you're absolutely not the asshole. He told you everything that you wanted to hear, hoping that your feelings about marriage would change somewhere down the line, and it didn't happen. He doesn't want to propose to you. He does not want to get married to you. You're absolutely not wrong for wanting to reevaluate your future without him and move on. That's literally the best thing for everybody. You guys cannot peacefully be together anymore. It's going to start building resentment and frustration. You guys are going to start fighting. And the fact that you have a child is all the more reason for you to separate, because you're going to be miserable together. What we're not going to do is keep begging our partners to fucking propose to us. You had a conversation multiple times throughout your relationship. It's not like you had it one time and he fucking forgot and you felt like you needed to remind him. No. You've touched on this conversation multiple times about the things that you want to do with your married life and building your life together. But when it gets close to it, you feel like you got to tell him like, oh, well, I would really like to be engaged by the end of this year. Girl, no. We are not begging our partners to propose to us. A lot of y'all know I gave baby 5 years to propose to me. He has until August 1st, 2026 to propose to me. He can do it August 1st at 11:59 right before it turns August 2nd. I don't give a fuck. That's his discretion. But if he doesn't, I will wake up August 2nd single. I'm not gonna fucking remind you. You know exactly what the fuck is expected of you. You're a grown-ass man. He's not gonna do anything that he doesn't want to do. We are not begging our partners to propose to us. Once we have the conversation, if it doesn't happen, baby, start planning your life without him. Do not let your boyfriend stop you from meeting your husband.
Am I wrong for breaking up with my girlfriend after I saw her apartment? I had been seeing this girl for a few months. We met through a friend, so I had known her a little longer, but she was gorgeous and I was super into her. Last Saturday, she invited me to her place, which I had never been to. She had mentioned her apartment was a mess, and I laughed because I thought she was just being self-depreciating. But when we got to her place, holy shit, dude. I want to start off by saying I know that people have their reasons for stuff like this, and I don't want to be disrespectful in any way. But the state of her apartment was genuinely shocking when I first went in. It was a pretty small place, and I'm not just talking about clutter. Literal piles of trash on the floor, sink full of dishes overflowing onto the counter, stains on the couch and carpet, week old food on the table, and just piles and piles of stuff everywhere. Not to mention the overpowering smell of mold and mildew that I could literally taste in my mouth. She tried to tell me to sit down and stuff like it was completely normal, and I tried not to act weird, but I'm sure she noticed. I stayed for a bit and we watched a movie on the couch, but I left before I got too late. The next day I called her and told her I didn't think things were going to be compatible between us, and she got mad at me for leading her on and breaking up with her for no reason. I didn't mention the apartment, but I don't know, maybe I should have. Literally nothing about her appearance or personality would lead me to expect this, so it was sort of unbelievable to see the state she was living in. I feel bad for her and I'm worried I might have acted too quickly. Oh, definitely not the asshole for this, but I think like for like good feedback to people like that especially, you have to tell her the reason why and say, hey, I'm telling you this, we're not compatible because your apartment was just not up to a standard that I find for myself to be with someone else, and that just reflects a lot on their character. If you can't, I get it, people like my room's like an organized mess, I have all that stuff that happens, but to be in a relationship with someone and to have like that much nasty shit going around is not okay. And eventually if she finds someone that she really likes and they bring them over and they see that, the same thing's gonna happen. You can't have week old food out, you can't have all these nasty stains, you have to be some sort of cleanliness is like a really good characteristic that people look for, especially in a spouse. I'm not saying you have to be the best at it, right? But you have to like some level of like, there's like different levels of cleanliness, right? There's like bare minimums where you have to have, and then there's like people who are just like super OCD and tidy. But it's just, if you live like that, you trash your room, you don't have any like qualms about the kitchen or your living room and stuff like that. If you're a grown adult, it's like very off-putting to ever want to be with someone like that who doesn't know how to take care of their own shit. And then just to state, there's a difference between clutter and filth. Like I have a lot of clutter in my room. I actually just, praise to me guys, give me a round of applause. I just like really deep clean my room, right? I do it like a couple times a year. It was just too much crap laying around. I'm like, oh, I need to get rid of the stuff that I think I'm going to use, but I don't. There's a difference between clutter and filth. And then also hoarding is a real problem. Have you not guys watched the TLC show Hoarders, where it's just over too much. Like no one expects it to be spotless, but and then like also I know a lot of girls always say like they don't like men who are dirty, who like live like pigs. And I think men can also have that. Like why should men have to put up with it either? Like it's not okay for either gender to be as dirty as that. No, there's a line.
Am I the arsehole for telling my roommate I am not going to be splitting the bills 50-50 anymore? Story time. Okay, so I live with my roommate, who we will call Amy. We've been friends since college and decided to move in together. We originally wanted to live on our own, however, it's just way more cost effective if we do it this way around. We agreed when we moved in that rent would be split evenly, literally everything was going to be 50-50. But recently, I have just had this feeling that I've been paying way more than what I'm actually using and like my fair share, especially on like utilities and groceries. And the reason I feel like this is because Amy works from home, right? Meanwhile, I have a 9 to 5, so I'm out the house from 7 a.m. to like 7 p.m. Amy's at home, she's using the electricity, she's using the AC, and winter she's using the heating, and she's sure as heck using way more internet than I am. And it's the same with the groceries as well. Like, I get lunch provided through work, so she is eating way more of the food. And even the stuff that I buy for myself, she eats. Did she eat or ate? So the reason I'm thinking about all this now is that last month our electricity bill doubled. I simply cannot afford this, so I had a little sit down conversation with her and asked if we could just revisit the split of the bills here. You know, considering I'm the one not at home all day. I thought she'd be quite reasonable, as to me this is a very reasonable ask. But no, she got so defensive. Girl, what are you getting defensive about? You're literally in the wrong here. I hate when people can't take accountability, man. And then she said, I'm just being frugal and petty for counting every penny. I told her quite frank that I just simply can't afford to subsidize her lifestyle, and that if she won't compromise on this, I'll be forced to see if I can find my own place. And ever since we had this conversation, she has just been so cold with me. And then a mutual friend approached me the other day and told me that I was being unfair about the situation because I make more money than Amy. So what do you think? Am I wrong here?
Story time about how my dad cheated on my stepmom with my stepsister. Yeah. So a little background information. I was 14 years old and in 8th grade, and my mom and dad had gotten divorced after like 15 years of being together. And by the title of this story time, you guys probably aren't surprised at this, but he did not take long to remarry at all. He got married literally in that same year. And we're gonna call my stepmom Stephanie and my stepsister Leslie. At first, everything was normal. But then after a little bit, I started finding the relationship that my dad and Leslie had super weird. They would text each other all the time. They had way too many inside jokes. And they had long, weird eye contact. My thing is like, how are you going to have a better relationship with your stepdaughter than you have with your own daughter? Anyways, so obviously I'm not sitting here thinking that they have a secret relationship or anything like that. I'm just thinking that it's weird. So the one night, Leslie Snapchats me and she's like, I effed up really bad. And I respond and I'm like, what do you mean? And she just left me on red. I go to my dad's room because I need his charger, and that's whenever I see Leslie's jacket laying on the bed, which is weird because Leslie and I don't ever go into our parents' room. So obviously I just think it's weird. I brush it off again. Well then, not that long later, I went into our room and I saw Leslie's phone open on our nightstand with text between her and my dad. And y'all, I felt like I was gonna projectile vomit whenever I saw these text messages. It was my dad saying, I can't stop thinking about you. And Leslie like, I wish we didn't have to sneak around, blah, blah, blah. So me, I screenshot all this and I sent it to my mom. And my mom did not hesitate to tell Stephanie what the F was going on. Obviously, at first, Stephanie's like, no, like that can't be, blah, blah, blah. And then my mom sends the receipts. Later on that night, whenever my dad came home, that house exploded. Stephanie was screaming and crying and throwing things at him. And my dad just stood there like a deer in headlights. I mean, at that point, what are you supposed to say? But at the same time, I don't know. And Stephanie kicked him out on the spot, as she should. Immediately after that, Stephanie filed for divorce and my dad moved out of state, probably because he didn't want to deal with the consequences of his own actions. But here's the crazy part. Whenever Leslie sent me a text saying I messed up bad, she wasn't even talking about the fact that she was effing around with my dad. She was talking about the fact that she was pregnant. Yeah. And I don't even know what happened with that baby, and I don't want to know.
Am I the asshole for throwing my ex's words in his affair partner wife's face after she spent the last 5 years taunting me? Nope. I don't even need to hear the story. Nope, because if she'd have left you the fuck alone, you wouldn't have told her what the fuck she needed to hear. I, 33 female, found out my ex-husband, 35 male, and the father of my 2 kids, 11 and 9, was cheating on me with Dana, 30 female, who he worked with. Fuck you, Dana. Once I kicked my ex out, he did everything he could to try and win me back. He even shared the fact that Dana was sterile and was just some safe fun because he knew he couldn't get her pregnant. He said he would never actually want something, not someone, like that, and he loved me and our kids. I was having none of it. Well, he's man of the year, isn't he? Just a regular old peach. I didn't pity Dana either because she knew about me. We had met. She knew about the kids too. So to me, she was a homewrecker, and I wasn't going to warn her about my ex's feelings about her. No, fuck her. I repeat, fuck you, Dana. My ex continued trying to win me back throughout our divorce. The night before, he sent more texts, begging me to call it all off and let us be a family again. He said more degrading things about Dana, but I didn't listen to him. I was done. Even if he wasn't living with Dana, which he was, I wasn't going to buy that he changed. From the day my ex moved in with Dana, she was smug. She called me all dried up, said I clearly wasn't tight enough anymore for my ex, and that he clearly felt repulsed by whatever stretch marks the kids left behind. I ignored her. She got herself kicked out of the kids' school a few times for using that language in front of others. Twice was in front of one of the teachers during parent-teacher conferences. Dana knows how he feels about her. All of that is projection. She knows exactly how he feels about her. He knows that he don't want her because she can't have kids. She knows that he don't really want her because she can't have kids. So she's got to come at you to make herself feel better. She knows exactly how he feels about her. For years, I've ignored it and I've tried to be the bigger person. But recently, she was extra nasty about me and the fact that I've been single since the divorce. She tried to say it was clear that no man wanted me, not even the father of my children, and how he thought so little of me. She said he only says nothing because of the kids, but she knows. She knows that's why he went to her. So in response, I screenshotted several of the texts my ex sent me when he degraded her, and I told her she should see what he thinks of her. That's golden. That's fucking gold. Also, the only thing that she knows is that your ex-husband still loves you. Because why else would she be so hell-bent on telling you 5 years, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 years after your divorce was finalized that nobody wants you? This is how she ended up in this situation in the first fucking place. Worried about somebody's hoo-ha, that's none of her goddamn business. Like, bitch, if you would have been bouncing up on a married man, you wouldn't be having to worry about telling me nasty shit about myself 5 years after I left my cheating ass husband. That's insane. She knows that her husband still loves his ex-wife. She knows that she's fucking replaceable, so she's trying to make herself feel better by coming for you when you're not even worried about her. She told me I was sick and twisted, and how dare I dig into her infertility. I didn't say anything. I didn't dig into shit. All I did was tap my phone a few times and send you messages that were sent to me. I didn't do anything. Then it was, why would I not tell her any of this if it was true? Why would I tell you anything? We're not friends. We're not friends. Why would I tell you anything? Hey, bitch, that I don't like because you literally had a hand in destroying my family. I just wanted to let you know that the man that fucked me over is also talking bad about you because he still loves me. Yeah, that conversation would have went down real fucking smooth. I told her I owed her ass nothing after she knowingly slept with the man I was married to and contributed to the breakup of my children's family. I told her I found her as disgusting and repulsive as him, but I had done my best to ignore her all these years while she degraded me. Then I told her to look inside her house for all that nasty shit and reminded her to check the dates on the messages. No, for real. Because Bookie Butt, he didn't send this to me last night. This didn't come in the message last month. No, baby, this came 5 years ago. He's been felt this way about you. When you thought you won, you were laying up with your worst fucking enemy. She texted me several times in the aftermath. I muted her. I can't block her while they're together because she could be with my kids in an emergency, and the court order states we must keep this access open. So now the plan is to unmute when the kids are over there and mute the second they come home to me. But am I the asshole? No, baby, you're absolutely not the asshole. You gave her exactly what the fuck she was looking for. A fight. She just wasn't expecting to lose it. I applaud you. I do, because you unknowingly played the long game and you lasted a hell of a lot longer than I could have and would have. Because the moment this bitch twisted up her fucking beak to speak out the side of her neck at me, I would have sent the first message that her husband, then just a fair partner at the time, sent to me about her infertility. And every time she said something else, I would have sent another one and then just sat back and watched their relationship burn the fire that they created. Because, bitch, I really don't care about your relationship. I truly don't give a fuck if it lasts or not. I would have sat back and laughed and rubbed my feet together as they fought within their relationship about the shit that he said about her to me. Baby, you lasted a hell of a lot longer than I could have, and I applaud you.
I'm currently on unpaid maternity leave and my husband is still expecting me to pay half of the bills. Story time. So I should start off by saying me and my husband are expecting our first kids and oh my god are we excited. We actually found it really difficult to get pregnant, so obviously when that came out as positive we're just over the moon. So my husband actually makes 4 times the amount I do. I'm on just under 70k and he's on just under 300k. And whilst we were trying so hard to get pregnant, we kind of had the conversation as to what was going to happen once we did. However, we actually never fully came to a decision. Obviously, I mentioned I do not mind working right up into the birth. Like, I really don't mind, as I do work from home quite a bit. However, my husband, who we're going to call Mark, just so you guys can follow this story a bit easier, Mark was literally insisting that I kind of took much maternity leave off as possible. For that reason, I took voluntary unpaid maternity leave. My husband was like, we can like do without the money, like it's not like we need it. He said he would much rather me be at home, get ready to bring the kids home, start preparing to be like a full-time mum. So obviously during this time I was doing like parenting classes, I was getting the nursery ready, I was painting the nursery. To be honest, I was just getting so excited to welcome our little baby girl to the world. And the way my husband gets paid is he gets paid in quarterly. So what we normally do then is once he gets paid, we split all the bills and pay them bills for that quarterly, if that makes sense. So the time came for the first quarterly since I had taken unpaid maternity leave. So what we normally do is we normally sit down at dinner and kind of organise it all together. I'll pay half the bills, he'll pay half the bills, and all our money goes into one pot. And he said to me, where's my contribution, basically? And I was just really confused. I was like, I've kind of not been making an income. As I said, didn't mind not going on a huge maternity leave. Anyway, of course this like caused an argument. So I basically said to him like, oh my God, that's like completely fine. If you feel like that, I'll go back to work. And then he had a go at me for wanting to go back to work. I don't know, to be honest, I'm just really confused.
Am I the asshole for getting mad my artist hid their initials in my tattoo? This is a short one. Names changed for privacy. I went to a tattoo shop in my area with the photo of the tattoo I wanted. It was one my dad had gotten to honor my past grandfather, whose father also had it. But the point is, it was important to me that the tattoo looks exactly as it did in the photo. I get to the shop, I explain everything. I pay, get the tattoo, and we're done. I think it looks awesome, everything is great. Until a few weeks later when I show my great-grandmother the tattoo. She's static, grabs my arm to look at it and compliment it, then asks, who's AJ? I ask her what she means, and she points out the tattoo where the initials A and J, or maybe T, were hidden in the tattoo. I'm instantly pissed, as my artist name is Alice Trevor. She tries to assure me it's no big deal if I hadn't noticed it till now, but I still reached out to the artist sort of irritated. They told me the style of art I got is called traditional, and it's pretty trad for all artists who do that style to do it. I demanded a partial refund, and they refused, so I complained to the owner who made the artist give me a full refund. Now the artist is running a full smear campaign, talking about moving shops and all kinds of crap. My sister says I'm an asshole for pushing the issue, but I feel like at the end of the day, I told you exactly what I wanted and you didn't do that. Am I the asshole? Today, I fucked up by having a Tinder girl over at my place. I am a 21 male, and a few days ago, I met this girl on Tinder. We were getting along really well and Viking right away. After talking for a little bit, I decided to invite her over to my place to hook up. So 2 days ago, I was chilling at home and she came over. We were hanging out, had some drinks, and eventually hooked up. I didn't think much of it, as I thought it was going to be a hookup and I wouldn't talk with her anymore after it. The next day I get up and she's blowing up my phone with messages that she wants to hang out again and keep talking. I wasn't expecting this and just ignored the messages from her. Well, yesterday I had some friends and family over at my place, and all of a sudden I get a knock on my door and it's her wanting to talk. It was frustrating because the people at my house had no idea who she was and I had to talk to her. I explained to her that I'd rather we stop talking and thought she would be done with me after that. I fucked up by taking her to my place and not a hotel. Now I feel like she's just gonna keep coming back to my place.
Am I the asshole for leaving my friend at the bar after she grabbed my plate and refused to give it back until I apologized? My friend and I have been friends for over 4 years. We'll call her Mia just for the sake of this story. This all happened towards the end of February this year. Mia and I decided to meet up for dinner and drinks after we hadn't seen each other since the beginning of January. We were just meeting up to catch up on each other's lives, and everything was going really great until Mia started to get a little bit tipsy. I had just shown her a little picture of a Valentine's Day setup that my boyfriend did for me like 2 weeks prior. I don't really post on social media anymore, so this was her first time seeing it. Her whole aura started to change in that moment. She started getting super confrontational and defensive, and she kept bringing up how I never reach out to her to check on her anymore and how I'm just putting our friendship on the back burner. And then she accused me of not being able to balance friendships and my relationship with my boyfriend. To add just a little bit more context, when I had seen Mia in the beginning of January, it was during her stay at a mental health center. She had mentioned needing a little breather, so I picked her up at the facility. Am I the asshole for leaving my friend at the bar after she grabbed my plate and refused to give it back until I apologized? And we spent the whole day at the beach together. After this day, our WhatsApp conversations were getting a little bit sparse, with me checking up on her and vice versa. Early February, I had a family issue that I was dealing with, so I completely went quiet on all my friends and acquaintances. This was obviously excluding my boyfriend because we practically lived together, and I guess she saw the Valentine's Day pictures when I showed her and realized that I was obviously present enough to celebrate that, so why wasn't I present enough to be involved in her friendship? Now back to the girls' day out. Her mood completely flipped, like I said, when I showed her this picture, and she grabbed the plate of food that I was eating from and said that you're not getting this back until you explain why you abandoned me. And mind you, the people at the bar are now looking at us, and I tell her this is really immature of her, and I send her my portion of the bill, and then I just got up and left. She called me multiple times after I left and texts what's up, and finally a couple days later she sends me a text apologizing for her behavior. I guess my mistake was responding to the text 4 days later accepting the apology, because we have not spoken since.
Am I wrong for taking back a gift after I learned the birthday person would not be the one using it? My daughter Jenny, 13, has a best friend Morgan, 13. The two of them spent a lot of time together at our place. I do not know Morgan's mother very well, as Jenny doesn't often go to their house. This is mainly because Morgan's house is a little chaotic. She has 4 siblings. Jenny is an only child, and Morgan has said she likes the quiet. Morgan has done a lot of stuff with us. I occasionally enter radio and online competitions and will win tickets to certain local events. When I won 4 tickets to a concert last year, Jenny and I brought Morgan along with one other friend. We all had a blast. Recently, I won another pair of tickets to a concert that I plan to attend with Jenny. A few days after, I was told about a work trip that I have to take that falls that weekend. Jenny usually comes with me, so Jenny suggested we give the tickets to Morgan for her birthday. She could either go with another friend or her mom. I checked with Morgan's mom before we mentioned this to Morgan, and she said that was fine. Last night, Morgan was at our house and she seemed upset. When I asked why, she said her mom was taking her brother to the concert because her brother has never been to a concert before. I asked if Morgan's mother even liked the band, and Morgan said no. It was just the principle of the matter. Morgan and her 3 other siblings have been to concerts. He hasn't, and since they can't afford stuff like this, he gets to go. I found this unfair and honestly a waste of tickets. I called Morgan's mom to double check the story, and she confirmed it all, including her 11-year-old son barely knowing anything about the band. I said, I'm sorry, but I don't feel right giving these as a birthday gift anymore, as these were for Morgan. I said we'd give them to Jenny and Morgan's other friend, who I know likes the band, and we'll get Morgan something else for her birthday. Morgan is fine with this. Morgan's mom is pissed and says I'm trying to tell her how to parent. I don't think I am, because if a different friend gave Morgan the tickets and it was the same result, as shitty as I'd find her mom for doing this, I wouldn't say anything, as that's not my business. As I am giving the tickets, I want them to go to Morgan. I'd also maybe feel different if the brother loved the band too, but as he doesn't, I don't want to give them. So here I am left wondering if I'm being an ass here.
Am I the asshole for not letting my sister announce her pregnancy at my wedding? No. This is another one of those things that people only do out of spite. Because why would you want to take over a situation that's supposed to be about me and my groom to make it about you, unless you want the attention for selfish fucking reasons? There's no reason anyone does this shit if the bride says no, unless they're trying to be spiteful. A few weeks before the wedding, my sister called me up and told me she was pregnant. I was thrilled for her and I congratulated her. She then asked if she could announce her pregnancy at my wedding. She said it would be a perfect moment since all the family and friends would be there, and she wanted to share her joy with everyone. No, I truly don't give a fuck about you wanting to share your joy with everyone. Then I need you to take the time and spend the money to host your own event. If you want to share it with people that fucking bad, Why are you trying to do it on my goddamn dime? Spend your own fucking money. I thought about it, and then I told her no. I explained that my wedding day was meant to be about me and my husband. I didn't want any distractions or any overshadowing moments. I suggested that she could have her own party to make the announcement, or wait until after the wedding to tell everyone. She seemed disappointed, but said that she understood. I thought that was gonna be the end of it. Girl, you and I both know that wasn't the fucking end of it, because it's never the fucking end of it. When it comes to selfish people wanting to get their way, it's never the fucking end when they pretend to be okay about it. Fast forward to the wedding day. During the reception, my sister stood up to make a toast. I didn't think much of it since we hadn't planned a strict schedule for speeches. However, during her toast, she announced her pregnancy. Everyone cheered and congratulated her, and the rest of the night, people were more focused on her news than our wedding. I would have asked her to leave. You guys allow your family to get away with way too fucking much. I would have asked her to leave. And the crazy fucking thing is, all the people that go and now start giving attention to this pregnant bitch over the bride and groom, they're the assholes as well. Because you guys are not here for that. You guys are not here for that. If everybody collectively knew and decided that this shit is fucking tacky and stopped paying attention to it, people would stop fucking doing it. But it's the sucky ass people that we have in our lives that want to flock to a pregnant woman the moment she says that she's having a baby. No, this is not the time or the place. How dare you guys? How dare you ignore the bride and groom to congratulate somebody about something that shouldn't have even fucking been mentioned here? Absolutely not. No, like, I don't give a damn whether the bride and groom gave her permission or not. I think that shit is tacky, and I will never walk up to someone and congratulate them for announcing they're pregnant. They're at someone else's fucking event. Never. That shit is so tacky to me. I was furious, but I didn't want to cause a scene at my own wedding. So I waited until the next day to confront her. She said that she couldn't keep it in anymore and felt like the wedding was the best time to share her happiness after I've already told you no. You asked me and I told you fucking no. So you didn't give a fuck about anybody else's happiness. My happiness on my wedding day. No, your happiness about you having a goddamn baby as if you the first bitch in the world to get knocked up is more important. Okay, I have one less fucking sister. I 100% would. This is enough for me to cut somebody the fuck off. Because, bitch, how dare you? What was the purpose of you asking me if you were going to do it anyway? I told my sister she was out of line and selfish for doing that without my permission. Now she and some other family members are calling me an asshole for not understanding her excitement and for being selfish myself. They think I'm overreacting and that a wedding is a perfect time for happy announcements like this. So, Reddit. Am I the asshole for not letting my sister announce her pregnancy at my wedding? No. Absolutely not. Your sister fucking sucks. But what I want to know is what else has she done throughout your life to take the shine away from you and onto her? Because I know this isn't the first time. I know it's not. I know from the bottom of my ass, this is not the first time that your sister has done anything like this. I know it's not. Could you imagine calling a bride selfish for wanting all the attention and focus to be on her wedding day? Could you fucking imagine with a straight face looking a bride in the eye and telling her you are selfish for not wanting anybody else to have attention on your wedding day? Yes, I am. I'm literally spending hours to get dressed, spending thousands of dollars, depending on, how much you want to spend on your wedding, to get married today. Yes, I don't want a single person in this fucking room looking anywhere but at me. Look at me. This is my day. Yes. You guys already know that I'm a petty type of person. If you announce your pregnancy at my fucking wedding, I'm gonna get proposed to again at your baby shower. Bitch, I will die at your fucking funeral. And I'm sending you half of the bill for my reception. Because, bitch, not you thinking you got a free engagement party out of me. Nah, baby, you about to pay for this. Because your happiness was so important, I hope you're ready to fucking pay for it.